Morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here on Thursday morning after a loss to the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, the news was really bad in the afternoon yesterday. When we heard Scott was confirmed to be out and Delano out also, we got the new news that Fred VanVleet would not be playing also because he is sick again, guys. In fact, he wasn't in the building. I'm wondering if he's in Illinois. I'm not totally sure. But that's the thing, man, is like once I heard Fred and Scotty were going to be out, it was basically like, we're trading in Gary and Chris, and we're losing Fred and Scotty. And that trade isn't the best for the Raptors, honestly, as far as personnel and being able to get good things going for them. So, yeah, it sucked. As soon as I heard that our team was going to be like that, I was like, man, this is going to be a very tough game to win. Now, I didn't come in thinking, okay, we're going to lose for sure because there, that's the thing. You see how the Nets lost to the Sixers the night before with the team they had. That that it's very possible that a team that's undermanned or missing important key pieces can still beat them because of a lot of the things we talked about yesterday. And it was true last night. They really get by on their sheer superstar talent at the top, Kevin and Kyrie. And that is really what helps them win. They're not exactly the best team. And that, they have problems with their defense. They have problems with rebounding, but they have really good shooting and they have some of the best offensive players in the league. So it's a really weird matchup for kind of our team because we're kind of the opposite. We don't have very good shooters, but we have everything else that they lack. So it was something that had to give, and I'm really impressed with what they did last night in a lot of ways. I'm not going to lie. Some people may be upset or sad about the game last night, but not me totally. There was a lot of joy in the game last night, even though we lost. There was a lot of interesting things that happened. There were a lot of things that kind of made, it was awful. Sure, we lost. I hate it. We're 500 now. We're 9-9. But like Matt Devlin said last year at this time, we were 8-10. And, the other thing people got to remember, Raptor fans, is that we didn't really start going on our steady climb to how high we got last year until like in the middle of January. That we struggled with injuries and being below 500 all the way into like the second week of January, really. So this is something we're in a good place right now. It may not seem like it, but if we get our health better and we get a jump start on what we did last year earlier in the season, like hopefully sometime in the next month, then everything's going to be fine. And we can still have a pretty high spot in the Eastern Conference standings. It's just we got to win a lot. And that's what we did last year. So I think we can do it again this year. We're just going to have to see how it goes. We have a better team this year than last year. I really, truly believe that. So let me check with the comments and we'll see what you guys are saying about the loss to the Brooklyn Nets last night. Really a loss to Kyrie Irving. It's almost like Kyrie Irving is 2-0 against the Raptors right now because it really was him that did everything, the superstar things to carry them to a victory. Monique is here. Good morning, everyone. Better days ahead. Go Raptors. Yes, Monique, I saw your comment on Facebook last night about being at the game, and a lot of fans left at halftime. That really is disappointing, but we have to remember this is a fair weather sports city, and most of the fans, casual fans here, are very fair weather. And if they know the team's not going to win, they don't stick around. I think that's kind of dumb logic. I mean, you just paid a whole bunch of money for a game that's only about 2 hours. You can't sit in your seat for 2 hours like it's a movie and just fucking watch the game and hang around. No, some people are just like, I can't be there because they're going to lose and maybe I'll be associated with it. It's just a real snobby kind of stupid attitude that casual corporate Raptor fans have, that they just won't hang around when it looks dire. They want to be there when they win. And that's why I wish they had one last night. So all those fucking casuals would have missed out on an epic comeback win last night. So it's too bad. And I know you're disappointed in the fans last night, Monique. And if I had been there, I would have been too. But it is what it is. We can't help it. Some people took tickets for that game just because of the prestige of it, being Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And that's the whole reason why they would go to that game. A lot of those kind of fans are not regular fans. They're just people that come to see names. And they're not like diehards like us. All right, let's see. David is here. The game is over when Ron Harper Jr. is getting minutes and blasting threes. Man, honestly, I have no idea what they see in that kid. That's all. At all. Well, all right. Let's not totally down Ron Harper Jr. He got his first NBA points last night. Two three-pointers, 2 of 2 from the field. When he hit the threes, I was like, why didn't we play him earlier? Since nobody else could hit threes. Once again, we have a real hard time with the 3 points, and that's kind of the difference in the game right there. They got 30 extra points because of making way more 3-pointers than us, and that's a crazy, crazy difference to try and make up. The fact that we lost by 14 points when they have a plus 30 differential for threes is really kind of amazing in some ways. In fact, that may show more about like how hard we worked to try and still win it, even with such a poor shooting percentage and them shooting so well at three. I mean, listen, the Nets, they were shooting like 50% at halftime and they only got better. They were 55 by the end of the game. And it really was a tale of two halves. In the first half, we really played them very well. In fact, we held them to 14 points in the second quarter, and that was fantastic. But in that third quarter, they busted it wide open. Kyrie Irving scoring like 20 something points in the third quarter alone. And that really messed us up because we beat them in the second and fourth quarter. The first and the third, we did not. We got routed in those 2 quarters. And that's the difference of the game right there. We can break it all down and look at everything and all the individual performances by the Raptors, too. Now, let's give Ron a fair chance, David. He's shown some pretty good stuff in 905 at times, but I'm not going to say that you're wrong in some ways, but I'm also going to say that he needs to get a chance at least to see it. Now, some people may say part of the reason why he's in the league is because of who his father is. But I just want to believe that he's a good player and then he's going to start helping us contribute and do all kinds of great things at the 905 level and then eventually, hopefully, on the main level. But, I'm proud of him and happy for him to get to live an NBA dream, to score some points in the NBA, because that is a big deal to a lot of young people that they just want to be able to get to the NBA and say, I played in the NBA and I scored in the NBA. Well, Ron can say that now. His shot release is very strange. It's kind of low and horizontal from his head, and I don't like it. It's not a good release point for like in the NBA. You're going to get blocked a lot, Ron, if you're going to shoot it like parallel with your face. And I don't that there's some things about his game that are kind of janky that I'm kind of like, that's not really good from fundamentally. Let's see. Monique saying again, it was a great first half, but they gave up defense and blew it in the third quarter. Hard to win with a depleted team and mostly a bench. I still love everyone. Yeah, this was a worse situation than Atlanta. And I thought we would have an easier settings going into the game with Fred and Scotty involved. It would have been easier than Saturday with who we were missing on the Saturday game because we were hopefully getting guys back. Well, we trade 2 guys in and we lose 2 guys that we had in the last game. That's not getting healthier. That is staying exactly where we were with Atlanta. And this team was a lot worse than the one on Saturday in some ways. As far as you have Fred and Scott, that's very, very helpful. And when you don't have those guys, I could say that last night was a Raptors B team. I wouldn't call the team against Atlanta a Raptors B team, but last night was definitely a Raptors B team. And, it just sucks. It just really, really sucks. I'm glad that some guys like Jeff Doughton got to get some good burn out there and good shine. But really, what I was thinking during the game was like, this is like the ultimate underdog team for the Raptors. You see the guys that they have available. Gary, he just got called out by his coach, and he's an underdog trying to come back and save his good name. You got OG, who's an underdog because he doesn't get any respect with the referees, and he's trying so hard to do so much in this league, and he didn't get respect last night. James Capers was an absolute dick, and I really don't like James Capers Jr. at this point. I think he is very much an old establishment NBA referee, and it's just his father before him. They hold some certain things, secret things for NBA refs, and hold certain standards. And I don't like James Capers Jr.'s. He does not respect the Raptors, and he does not like us because he is very bad with his calls. And they were particularly awful to OG last night. OG was getting hit and getting fouled all over the place, and they would not call anything for him. In fact, they called that offensive charge with the knee. That was fucked up. That was a horrible call. And that was one of those kind of calls that really turns the momentum and really kind of hurt us just as much as like it could have helped us if it gone through. So it hurt us double whammy. It was a basket and could have been a bucket, a free throw also, and one. Instead, it's a turnover and a foul on OG. And I hate that. I hate that so much. Matt and Jack are exactly right. That's a natural movement somebody does to go to the basket when you bring your knee up like that. And that was a bad bullshit call. And there were a few of these last night. There was a couple of times down the court where the referee gave us offensive fouls. There were like 3 in a row once again, just like Nick was complaining about in Atlanta, that they gave us 3 offensive fouls all of a sudden real quick. That really fucks up your momentum, because in some ways an offensive foul is worse than a defensive foul. And even though we got a lot more free throws than them on the line last night, it was symptomatic of us getting offensive fouls, and that's basically a turnover. That's a forced turnover by the referee on us. And that's almost worse, because you guys get fouls and they count to the 6 to foul out. And then also you lose the opportunity to score the ball. And in some ways, that's worse than fouling somebody on the defensive end and putting them on the line. So when us getting way more offensive fouls than defensive fouls is actually on the down low a real ref manipulation. And I hate that. I hate that so much, that we're getting these weird offensive fouls these days. And they are symptom of manipulation for sure. Let's see. David saying, yeah, I agree. Everyone except Ron is really awesome. Man, Dave, why do we have to pick somebody to pick on? We really just don't need to do that. Ron's just a young guy trying to make it to the NBA. You need to give him a chance. Let's see. Monique saying, at least Ron is shown positive signs on the G League level. Be nice, David. Yeah, I agree with Monique here. Just because we had a bad night last night doesn't mean we got to sewer anybody. And Ron really hasn't had a chance to do a whole lot for us yet. He got his first chance to actually really kind of play last night. So, and that was actually something that kind of hurt us too, was that the fact that we had to call up Ron and Jeff and have them on our game last night because we just didn't have enough people. That hurt the 905 team also. They lost a narrow loss to the Long Island Nets by 3 points. And once again, just not enough firepower, because the firepower had to come up to the main roster. The Ron's up there. And then also Saban Lee has been snatched up by the Philadelphia 76ers on a 2-way contract. So he will not be a part of Raptors 905 for the rest of the year. He is now going to be officially a 76er for the rest of the year. And that also hurt also, because he was kind of one of our main go-to guys so far this season for 905. So they were really in a very similar place to the main roster last night as far as being depleted, not as many guys around as they had before. So we did take a 3-game loss to the Nets in all 3 games we played against them this week. On Monday morning, I said I'd be real nice if we could sweep the Nets this week. But no, they swept us instead. And I hate that. I hate that. Absolutely hate that. And you go Nets Nation. You can brag a little bit this week. But you caught us at a real down time where we're in bad shape. So it is what it is. It really is. Monique saying, I'm not happy fans left again, shaking my head. Yeah, I'm not either, Monique. I really am not. But it is what we can't control it, and fans are going to be fans. And this is one of the toxic aspects of Toronto sports fan nation. And this, I don't even blame real Raptor fans like us, because I know you were there till the end of the game. I know Cool Cat probably hung out till most of the end of the game too. So it's like, what can you do? And in some ways, sometimes your devotion is rewarded with special, content that not everybody gets to see, because everybody else turns off the TV or they leave the arena and then they miss an epic comeback or they miss some awesome dunk or something like that. I just can't stand people that do this. I'm a completionist kind of person. So what? You can't sit here and just watch them. They're going to lose. Yeah, they have a good reason that they're losing. And it's not like this loss is like ugly or really that bad. It's actually kind of expected when you're playing against 2 of the top 75 players ever in the history of the NBA. And that's really, really, that's not easy. You got to understand that the firepower, we came to a gunfight and we had little side piece pistols from the Wild West, and he had a howitzer. They have a howitzer. They have a big machine gun, and that, we're going to get outgunned with talent wise in the matchup like last night. I mean, there was an off chance. And I saw them at the beginning of the game, OG and Gary, talking to each other and really figuring out, like, can they play off each other and carry this team as the 2 main guys and the superstars? And there was some hope and light at the beginning where this could possibly happen, that different things could happen. That's one of the things I really liked about the team that we had last night was the how many good 3-point shooters we'd have out there at times. Too bad that they didn't make them. There were good looks, But once again, we shot horrible at the 3-point line last night. We were 7 of 29 for 24%. Meanwhile, they're 45% from the 3-point line. That is just a huge difference that you just can't make up. No matter how many more rebounds you get, no matter how many more steals and turnovers you make them turn over, it's so hard to make up 30 points of 3-pointers that you just not getting at your end. And it wasn't that we didn't get the opportunities, we just didn't make them. We had open threes, we had good shots. They just didn't make them. And it's driving me nuts, honestly, the last couple games, how bad we've shot at three. And we really just need to get better at three quickly. Like, let's look at some of the 3-point shooting for the Raptors. I mean, Thad's 0 of 2. We don't expect a whole lot from him. But OG, once again, did not make a three last night. He was 0 for 3. Gary, 1 of 8. Hernan Gomez, 1 of 5. Jeff Doughton was 1 of 3. Boucher missed all 3 of his 3-point attempts, 7 of 29. That's just not good enough when you're trying to be in a firefight with the Brooklyn Nets and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. It's just not. It's just not good enough. All right, let's keep going. Bishop is here. It's Andrew Bishop, y'all. He's just shortened the name for expedited purposes. All right, Bishop, good to see you, brother. Yes, Nameless is saying, I feel like I woke up from a nightmare this morning. I wouldn't describe it that bad. Listen, there's no slouch in losing the way we lost last night. In fact, we did some really good things. We beat them. Honestly, we had beat them at the half, but they did that thing where they look back, and it really was that our scorekeeper was it was a little bit of home cooking. She's so nice, and I love her for it, that she left off a basket that the Nets made in the first half. I saw her do that, and I was like, oh, okay, we're going to do this. And I was like, okay, I wonder if anybody's going to notice. And it went for a little while that nobody noticed that she didn't add one of their baskets. And then we were leading at half, and I was like, yes. And then we came back from halftime in the third, and they had scored. They were above us at halftime by 1 instead of being down by 1. And it's like, oh, there was a basket that they forgot to score. And I caught that. I caught it in the moment. I was like, ooh, are we trying to cheat the Nets tonight? Because we did not give them one of the baskets they scored. And that was a part of that. But the third quarter was really bad. I mean, give credit to Jacques Vaughn for taking his team into the locker room and really telling them what they needed to change to get in better shape. I mean, the second quarter was fantastic. The fact that we could hold that great offense to 14 points for the whole second quarter was a real accomplishment. It was a great, great job. And I love that kind of shutting water off. We shut the plumbing off in the second quarter for like 6 minutes. They could not score. And that was part of the reason why they only scored 14. So that is really, really good in some ways. So that was a positive thing to look at. Also, look at Jeff Doughton last night. Listen, all right, let me do my 3 stars for the game. Thad Young was the best player in the game once again last night. I really appreciate Thad Young's leadership and steadiness in these unsettled, chaotic times. He was 6 of 10 from the field in 28 minutes, 8 rebounds, including 3 offensive, 5 assists, 2 steals, 12 points. Now, that's not a lot of firepower, but that was the most efficient out of a lot of the Raptors as far as like shooting a good percentage and filling up the stat sheet. You love seeing the 8 rebounds and the 5 assists, and the 2 steals are fantastic also. In fact, we saw Thad getting in passing lanes and just premeditating things that the Nets were going to do and just taking the ball. Now, there was some of that going on the other way also. We were lazy with some of our passes, and they were getting picked off and getting taken back the other way also. That was bad. I did not like seeing that from our guys. My second star of the game is actually Juancho Hernan Gomez. He shot 4 of 9 with 33 minutes in the game, 1 of 5 from 3. I don't like that he missed one of his free throws, but who cares in some ways. 6 offensive rebounds by Hernan Gomez, 10 rebounds and 10 points for a double-double by him. He was a +4, and he also had 3 steals. You know, he didn't shoot the best from 3-point range, and if a couple more of those threes had gone in, even better job by Juancho. But I felt like this is one of his better games so far this season. That, you know, we saw some of the stuff from Juancho that he is not like Svi, guys. Come on. You see those tip-ins that he did last night. That's not something Svi was doing. And those were really, really awesome. Like, they missed, and then he'd just be there, Johnny on the spot, tip it back in and make the points anyway for us. So you go Juancho Hernan Gomez. This was a good game for you. You showed a little bit more of the skills you can offer to the Raptors as one of our deep rotation players. And that if we need something from you for in these kind of areas, hopefully we can depend on you later. So Wancho is my second star, and my third star is Jeff Doughton Jr. Jeff came out and played very solid as the backup point guard last night. He was 4-9 also, 1-3 from 3-point range, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 10 points. But the thing about Jeff that I just like is that he just seems very stable, very dependable. You saw some of the way he moved around, the way he get to find his open shot, and then he'd hit it. And you just feel like, wow, I feel like this guy, I can trust him. He's going to take care of the ball. He's going to do the right decisions. He's just real solid fundamentally and consistent. And he showed that last night. So those are my 3 stars of the game: Thaddeus, Wancho, and Jeff Doughton Jr. They were the ones that most impressed me. Now, I wish I could have said that one of the guys that should have been the superstar last night was the guy like OG or Gary, but with their stat lines, I mean, they just could have done better. OG only 15 points, and that really you got to be the superstar and take over and be Pascal's role is not good enough. He was also a minus 29, 5 turnovers. Now, remember, those 5 turnovers, you got to add in at least 2 of them were offensive foul bullshit. And, that's part of it is like he gets a foul and a turnover when that happens. 2 steals, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 0 for 3 from 3, 7 of 20 from the field. Just not good enough, OG. We need you to be better when you have to be the man. And then Gary, you know what? Gary had a pretty good game. It wasn't horrible. In fact, I'm very happy with the game that he did last night because his baby steps coming from where he was and being completely sick and hurt to getting to where he is coming to eventually. Now, Nick said after the game that he was happy with Gary also, and that he can tell that he's still not fully healthy and that he's still shaking some of the rust. But I will say this about Gary Trent Jr. He was moving way better than we've seen him move so far this season last night. He was moving way better. And he did show flashes of showing that he's going to get out of this funk very soon. So I believe in you, Gary. And last night was the first step in the right direction. I know that you may have wanted to win. You may have wanted to look even better. But listen, 6 of 19 isn't the best shooting, but at least you did fill it up to a degree. 19 points, 6 of 9 at the free throw line. I don't like the 3 missed free throws, obviously, but you're so good at the free throw line normally that's why it kind of stands out to me when you miss more than 1 or 2 free throws. 1 rebound, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 turnovers. In 31 minutes. So yeah, Gary and OG, they were supposed to be the superstars. One of those guys had to step up and try and be the man for us, and neither one of them could. So in the third quarter, when everything's kind of in a void, we're kind of setting what's going to be the rest of the narrative for the game. Well, Kyrie step up and took it. He said, I'm going to be the guy who controls the game. I'm going to be the man. I'm going to be the superstar that puts my imprint on this game and gets the W for my team. And that's really what the hardest thing about playing the Brooklyn Nets is by the end of the game is one of their 2 big superstars will try and will their side to the win just purely on their huge talent. And you can't do a whole lot against that with an underdog Raptors team. But I was really rooting for them. At times I was like, man, this is such an underdog team. We got Jeff Doughton out there. You got Chris Boucher. You got OG. You've got Gary. These guys are all underdogs in some way. Malachi. And I was just like, man, go underdog team. Maybe you can do this. Maybe you can do the impossible. But no, they couldn't. And the third, Kyrie shut it down. And it's not like, oh, what can you do? Let's see. So I don't really think it was a nightmare nameless. Once again, we had a really nice dunk. OG dunked on Kevin last night in a breakaway, and our bench went crazy. The 3 rookies from last year were jumping up and tapping their heads. It was Champagny, Barnes, and Banton were just freaking out when OG threw it down on Kevin. That highlight alone, and Jack Armstrong with Drake's jacket made that game enjoyable and just fun to watch either way, even though we lost. There was a lot of things that were fun and joyous in the game last night. That whole first quarter commentary between Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong and Drake was gold. And, it's funny because I'll bet a lot of Brooklyn fans tuned in and watched our feed. And they probably heard about, Drake's shows at the Apollo and the different events coming up, Jack Armstrong's Christmas show. It really would have been cool if Drake had showed up at Jack Armstrong's Christmas show. but he has a show himself at the same time. And they really figured out that they are artists on the same level, that they are putting out albums and doing shows, and that Jack is on Drake's level. And then Drake let Jack wear his teddy bear jacket last night in the middle game. And that was fun. That was just fun Raptor stuff. Matt Devlin giggling like a little girl at times. And, Jack looking like, having swag and just looking like a real one. With the hood up and the two full-size teddy bears on each side of the jacket. The jacket was really cool. And in some ways, Drake is right. You need to borrow that jacket for your show at Danforth Music Hall. In some ways, just because that's the famous Drake jacket from the telecast now. So there was joy and fun in the game last night, even if, we didn't win. And I appreciate that at least. All right, let's see. Nameless, good morning from Monique. And Mike's here, Logical Raptors fanatic. Salute real runs, Project Truth always. Respect, Mike. Go check out Logical Raptors fanatic. Isaac saying, real ones be here. That's right, Isaac Campbell. The real ones be here after, listen, we're not like anything like these people that left at halftime yesterday. They knew, they saw, oh, Scotty's not playing. Oh, Fred's not playing. And they're like, why are we even here? And then they maybe even walked right out the door after that. That's kind of fucked up. Well, this is how real we are. We'll stick around and watch the whole game last night in the arena, and then we'll show up for a live stream the next morning and talk about it still. That is the real Raptor fans that are here riding and dying with them. Let's see. Tom is mourning this morning. Good morning, Tom. Tom is also saying, I'm focusing on Jack wearing that jacket. Yeah. Yeah, what isn't that so silly and fun? And like seriously, like other people watching it from other places are probably like, man, Toronto's broadcast is lit. They got Drake on there and they're just talking, and he's got crazy swag and they're talking, and like, people would really be interested in that. Of course, the Philly fans hate it because they hate Jack Armstrong. They're like, oh, Jack Armstrong's wearing Drake's teddy bear jacket. Ooh, I hate that so much. Meek Mill. But it was funny too, because at some point Drake's telling them, you're in my new video. I was watching my videos last Friday and Drake's new video, and I watched it. And at one point he's showing all the kind of collage of his life. And Kevin's in the video too, Kevin Durant. At the very beginning, they show like a party, and there's Kevin in the shadows, kind of standing there. But it's Kevin Durant in Drake's video. And then he's kind of showing his tours. He's showing like parties. He's showing strip clubs. But then he shows a part where he's at the Raptors game, and they show him basically with three people. Well, actually, it's four. It's four people. They show him with DeMar, and they must have filmed this when DeMar came earlier this season with Chicago. They show him with DeMar shaking hands, and then they show him with Matt and Jack and Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is in that video also. And so Drake's telling Matt Devlin, you have a cameo in my new video. And Matt Devlin's confused. He thinks he's talking about Cameo, like the service to like record and send a message. You can pay a celebrity. And he's like, no, I didn't do a cameo. And Drake's like, no, you're in my video, bro. And like, it was so awkward but fun, because it's like, this is so fucking cool. It's like Drake's telling you that you're in his new video. The biggest album seller, biggest star on the planet is telling you you're in his video, and you're confused. And he's like, what? No, you're so dorky about it. But Drake is just like, nah, man, you're in my video. And he's like, you guys are my family, and that's why you're in my video. I just love that whole exchange with them. Some people may be upset. Maybe they'd be like, you're not calling the game. We're supposed to be here watching the game. But when it's kind of weird, impromptu, kind of like just magic like that, you got to allow for it. I'm sorry. And another thing we learned from that whole exchange is that apparently Drake does a celebrity league, and he's going to get these guys to come in and call the commentary for it. Matt Devlin's like, I'm going to come and do that commentary for you, Drake, for your league next year. And he's like, I will hold you to it. And I just imagine like this is some crazy like MTV Rock and Jock old kind of game where like maybe Justin Bieber's showing up and like other famous like musicians, and they're playing like basketball against each other, and Matt and Jack are the commentary. But that's cool. Drake's got them coming to do commentary for his celebrity games. Just good stuff. Just good stuff. Morning to Jimmy Pope. Good to see Jimmy Pope. Good Raptor freak, Jimmy Pope. And Callie's here. Callie Mayer. It was a great first half, but shooting was brutal. Oh my gosh, wasn't it, Callie? Like, oh man, if we could have bought some of those open shots and they just gone in, like some of it was rimming out. Malachi, you're such a dead eye, bro. You should be hitting those shots. This is your time to shine. You really got to make them all, bro. And him being 3 for 12 last night was really disappointing. This was an opportunity for Malachi to get big time. You're starting, you're in the starting lineup. 8 points and 3 assists with 1 steal and 1 rebound is not good enough, Malachi Flynn. I'm sorry. You had the opportunity to step up and really, really prove that you belong, maybe even as a starter. But you did not get that. And it's too bad because this was the kind of game that you could have made a huge, huge statement about what you want your role to be on the Toronto Raptors for the future. And that did not happen last night. I don't know if it's chasing Kyrie around or what it was, but Jeff Doughton looked way better than you last night in less minutes than you. And that's not good. I don't like that. Nameless is saying we are in excellent place. Totally agreed. 500 without Siakam and company. Totally in a great place. In fact, it even says this in the power rankings for ESPN. We slipped this week down to 16th in the ESPN power rankings right now. But Bontemps, this is what he said in there. He said, well, the Raptors are weathering a very bad injury time right now without Pascal Siakam. Now, they're still playing a 500 ball. So this pretends that when they get back, they should be going on a huge run when everybody's healthy again. And that's what ESPN's saying about us. This isn't negative nillies. This isn't Chicken Littles. This isn't like fans that are in our own fan base that don't believe in us. This is the NBA media in the US, ESPN, saying that they understand that once we get healthy, we're very dangerous. And I appreciate that from Tim Bontemps. I don't like that we're 16th now in the rankings, but we do kind of deserve to be a little bit down, sliding down a little bit at this point. But yeah, very much in a good place. And when these guys come back, look out, NBA. We're coming for heads after that. We are really for sure. I'm a fun guy saying prior to this year, our system had trickled down to our bench in G League and we stayed competitive. Now we get blown out even with some starters in. There's just becoming very disappointing. You know what? Listen, this is like a perfect storm of injuries. This is very similar to in past years, certain periods of the year. The pandemic years have been weird because one of the things that echoes throughout the whole league is huge, massive amounts of guys missing all at once on your team. You have a COVID outbreak and you're missing 8 of your players. All of a sudden, you're putting a patchwork team together. That's why these designations of A team, B team, C team, D team, as far as teams when they show up, is important. That I wouldn't downgrade our team on Saturday because I really felt like we had good talent, and that shouldn't be called a B team for the Raptors. Well, last night was a B team for the Raptors. Without Fred, Pascal, and Scotty, those are basically our 3 most important players on our team. OG's arguably in there, but without your 3 top players, it's really, really hard to be as good as you can be. And that's a B team. That's a Raptors level B team last night. Now, as far as the trickle down stuff, it's when you have so many injuries, and this is like a perfect storm. This is like last year around Christmas when we had to play on Boxing Day with nobody and a bunch of G League replacements. This is like in January or February of the Tampa year when all of our coaches got COVID and our players did too, and we completely got destroyed. We were at 500 in the Tampa year and actually doing pretty good. And then COVID decimated our team at that point, and we ended up becoming what we became by the end of the Tampa year. Now, that's what I got to tell you is that we're in one of those periods right now that's very similar to last year around Christmas and very similar to that really awful time in Tampa where everybody had the plague all of a sudden. Well, we're weathering this way better. If you think about both those times, we were maybe be like over a 5-game stretch, 1-4 or 2-3. But we're actually like, very even. We're like 3-3 instead of like 2-4 or 1-5. Whereas in those old periods of time, we would have been like 1-5 during the period where we're missing a lot of guys. So we're actually doing way better. So I know your perspective is saying this, but if you really dig deep, fun guy, and think about it in that kind of way, compared to like old times when we were missing completely everybody, we're weathering this storm way better. and we're in a better place. And what you're describing is actually in place still, and it is being activated in this instance, and it's still there. The culture and what you're talking about is still there. It's not that it's gone anywhere. It's just that when you line up the water level of talent that you have to go up against the Brooklyn Nets, and your water level only goes up to here because you're missing your starting point guard, your rookie of the year. I mean, let's list the accolades of the people that were missing for our team last night. We got an all NBA player that's a former All-Star. We got an All-Star from last year that is also our franchise single game record holder for most points scored ever in a single game by a Raptor. We got the rookie of the year last year. We've got a champion that won a championship last year for the Golden State Warriors missing. We got a guy who played all year on the G League who was badass and went to AmeriCup and played at a high level that's missing. We got a very prized young stud who's only in his third year in the league that we in Precious Achua. You got to look at what we're missing and how much that could add to what we did last night to put us over what we did last night, over the Nets and what they did. In fact, I think if we had Fred last night, we would have been way more competitive. If we had Scotty last night, it would have helped. I don't know if we would have beat them, but Fred, just Fred himself, might have been the difference in helping us possibly win the game last night. So I don't want you to chicken little about Nick Nurse or like us being competitive, because first of all, the talent levels last night did not line up at all. Kevin and Kyrie are hard to beat with our full strength team. And having less than our full strength team with the guys that we had last night, that, yeah, we did pretty good considering all that. So this is not really a time to get down on ourselves. This is just a bad time schedule for when we are in a bad place. And this team is just showing up, and yeah, they're capitalizing on it. And that it's too bad. But hopefully, by Saturday, we can get some more guys back and maybe have a better chance to try and beat Dallas. Now, if we go on a slide a little bit right now, we can dip down underneath 500 for a bit. Don't chicken little, y'all. Stick with me and understand that there are ups and downs in the season, and that we will rise up like we did last year, and we will go up and high in the Eastern Conference standings still. Just give us a chance to fail while we're in bad shape with our health. Tom Duke is saying 60 more games to go. They all miss out. I'm not sure what they all miss out. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, you mean if they just stop watching? Raptors fans, listen, it comes in waves. They're going to see that we're down and they won't pay attention to us now. But when we start winning again, like we go on a 5-game win streak, then they'll wake up and they'll start coming around again. Monique's saying 8 seed. Think positive, y'all. That's just where we are right now. I mean, we're still in the play-in. We're in the play-ins, and we're not actually that bad. Everybody's very similar to us. The Eastern Conference has 2 teams that are really above everybody. I mean, Cleveland arguably is up there too. But otherwise, everybody else is real close. Real close. All the way down to like Miami Heat at 8 and 11, all the way up to Atlanta Hawks. From 4 to 12 is very, very competitive and very jammed up. Now, it's going to get sorted out more and more as the season goes on. Some teams are going to go up the elevator, and some teams are going to go down the elevator. And right now, we're tied in our record exactly with New York and Philadelphia at 9 and 9. That Atlantic Division is right in the middle of that play-in, where it's all about Atlantic Division play-in teams. So, yeah, I don't like calling us the 8 seed right now, even though technically we are right now. But, yeah, that's just for temporary for right now. It's going to move. David saying, can't ever assume Raptors are going to lose. That's why it's so weird about leaving a Raps game early. Down 21 at half really makes no difference at all. This is exactly right, David. And that's why I would never give up on them and walk out of that building early. Sure, okay, you have an early day tomorrow. You're thinking about that. You're kind of weighing what's important to you at that moment. I could go home and work on my hobby for a little while before I go to bed tonight instead of watch the Raptors lose. I'm going to go work on my wood carving at home instead. There's all kinds of stupid shit. You're exactly right. It's the same thing with at home. If you're watching it on the TV, don't ever give up on watching them, because sometimes you'll see the most amazing things in garbage time, even if we lose. And sometimes also we do come back, and then people are like, why didn't I watch the rest of the game? And I missed out on this epic comeback by the Raptors. So I completely agree with David on this one. But yeah, I think it's weird too. And why do you spend so much money to go to the game and you don't even stay for it? It's like, okay, I'm going to just drop $100 on this meal that I'm eating in a very fancy restaurant, but I'm only going to eat half the meal and just leave the meal on the plate and walk away. And it's not even that I'm full or anything. I'm just going to eat half the meal and get up out of my seat and walk away. It's the same kind of shit to me. You paid for that whole meal. Why don't you eat the whole dish? Oh no, you know what? It's good, but you know what? I want to walk away. I'm just gonna walk away and leave. That's really what I look at it that way. I know maybe you want to beat traffic. Well, there's already people leaving. You be one of the real ones. You're gonna beat traffic anyway and stay till the end. Mike's saying, not gonna lie, Flynn was hurting the starters' defense, and when Doughton and the bench came in, we came back. Then third quarter, the Nets went at Flynn harder. Yeah, Mike, that was something I noticed also, that we had a better defensive temperament with the second guys coming in than with the starters from last night. And you could apply that to guys like Koloko also. Koloko was a mixed bag last night. He was in 18 minutes, 1 of 3 from the field, 2 of 4 from the line, five rebounds, 4 of them offensive, 1 block, 4 points. Now, he got a couple rookie calls that weren't very fair to him from the refs, once again, that we do see him get those kind of calls still. And in some ways, he was kind of sheepish. Like, I wanted him to assert himself more and just get in there and just block shots and just do more active stuff. I don't like that he misses free throws so much, too. That he really is a 50% free throw shooter, and that this is an aspect of his game he's going to have to really work on and get better at as he gets more and more into his NBA career. But yeah, Flynn was a detriment against Kyrie. He was not good against Kyrie in some ways, and in the third quarter especially. Now, in the beginning of the game, we did pretty good with Kevin and Kyrie. They didn't have a lot of points by halftime. One stat I want to go over, and this may be very telling about things, is at halftime, we had 11 offensive rebounds and we had 11 steals. And I was like, wow, we got 11 steals in the first half? That's fantastic. Well, how many steals did we end up with by the end of the game? You're going to be shocked by this. We had 11 steals at the half. Well, at the end of the game, we only had 12 steals. So that means we only got 1 steal in the whole second half of the game last night. That is totally going away from what we were doing very well in the second quarter, is getting steals and turnovers and running it back. Well, they didn't turn the ball over hardly at all in the second half. Part of it was that they weren't missing shots, and part of it was that they were just going through Kyrie way more, and he was taking care of the ball way more. But yeah, we only had 1 steal in the whole second half after getting 11 in the first half. And that's a huge stat to look at, and a big difference in the two halves is we weren't as aggressive getting after the ball and stealing it. We saw right away at the beginning of the game, right after the jump ball, a trap. And it was funny because Kevin went over to Nick after the first play and said, "What are you guys doing right away? I've never seen this happen before." And they were having a little laugh and a chuckle. Well, yeah, it was awesome. And I love seeing that from them. Right away, a huge intensity that caught them off guard and really kind of messed them up. And we saw Gary doing what Nick was asking him to do, getting his hands in there and slapping shit around, getting steals. There was that one steal near the corner on the baseline or the sideline where the player got it and he tried to throw the ball off of him to go out of bounds, but the ball didn't go out of bounds and the player recovered it. I think it was Claxton. And he's holding it and he got his back to Gary and he's just reached in and took it from behind him and got a steal that way. That's the kind of stuff we need more and more from you, Gary. Now, the open threes, of course, we want you to make those, even though you're not. And then, like, the stuff you're doing with your side steps and stuff, the spin around shot you made last night in the lane, that's all real good. In fact, I would almost rather you, like, once again, just like Chris said the other day, he said what he does is he likes to go in and get a layup or a close shot close to the basket, and then he expands his game out with his jump shot, and that's how he makes them. That's usually how he can be better for shooting. He wasn't good last night for shooting, and that may be because he didn't do what he said in the interview. But Gary should do the similar thing. Go for a higher percentage shot close to the basket early before you just start busting out threes. It's almost like you need that to get going. Now, Christopher, man, this was another guy that could have really stepped up and done amazing things for us to try and help us win. But he was 2 of 15, and he said it afterwards in his interview after the game that he did not shoot well. But in some ways, he had a monster game. He had 16 rebounds, y'all, 12 points. I would have put him as one of the top stars in the game, but that 2 of 15 shooting is just dreadful. That is so bad. He missed all 3 of his three-point attempts, 2 of 15 from the field. 8 of 8 at the free throw line. I really like that. 8 offensive rebounds. I love that too. 16 rebounds total, 12 points. You know, Chris, if you just made a couple more shots, you would have got 20 points. And we just really needed another 3-point shooter. And you couldn't be that guy to step up, which is too bad. Cool Cat's here. Let's see. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. I know Fred is still sick. He didn't look well in the Atlanta game. He had no legs and his back looked stiff. It's a pity we were not able to hit any threes that would have made a difference. Apparently, what happened was Fred was feeling better in Atlanta, but then it surged back into him. Like he wasn't totally well. You're right. But he said he felt well enough to try and play in Atlanta. But then now more recently, he's gotten even worse. Now, this sucks because this seems like he's been sick for over a week now. Now, I don't know. Maybe Nick was trying to tell us about this, and I didn't totally understand him. He said it went away and it came back. So with Fred, as far as the sickness, that's too bad. I really don't like it. All right, let's see. Savage is here. Our trolls, 24% from threes. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Now, one of the things that trolls are saying right now, and this is what you said, Savage. I saw what you said in the Raptors Tonight chat last night, that the Noah system is a tax write-off for the Raptors. It is weird because, like, look, we've got this Noah shooting system all of a sudden. You think that our shooting should just get better all of a sudden. Maybe there's something weird about the system that doesn't actually have that kind of effect on your shooting, because I'm wondering about this. Maybe it just takes some time to get used to it and really understand it, to really get the best out of it, to get the best shooting outcomes for your team. I don't know what it is. It's weird. Like, we did just get this Noah system, and it should be helping our guys shoot better. Why are they shooting so bad? Well, Pascal Siakam's not playing. That's a big part of it right there. And it is too bad. Like, they were open threes that they should have made, honestly. Wide open threes. They just didn't make them. And meanwhile, at the other end, Royce O'Neal's making his threes. You had a couple of Nets that really shot very well from three-point range last night. Royce O'Neal, 5 of 8. Kyrie, 5 of 8. Kevin, 2 of 5. Morris, 3 of 4. That's pretty good for 17 of 38 shooting for their three-point line, 45%. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. They shot really well. And that's weird because that's the kind of team they are. It really is an offense versus defense kind of matchup when the Nets play the Raptors. They are very offensive, but they're not very good defensively. They don't rebound well. They're not a very good team as far as playing together in some ways. Meanwhile, we're like the antithesis of all that. And it's kind of like that battle is offense versus defense. And offense won last night because some of our best players for what we try to do just were not there. Randolph Phillips is here. Blessing to our beloved Raptors Freak gang. With our depleted team, we must be proud of our effort. Doughton is a stabilizer, and Harper showed progress. Yes, that's the positive kind of outlook I love to hear from Raptor Freak Randolph Phillips, and thank you for the blessings. Yeah, there are things we should be proud of, that we don't give up, that we can go and see the odds, and maybe some teams will be like, yeah, we're just going to roll over and die and let you guys beat us tonight. No, we don't do that. We actually still come and show a good effort and try our asses off. And that is what is very important from Nick Nurse's perspective. We need to do that at least, even if we don't win. You got to be playing all around the way basketball is supposed to be played by a Toronto Raptors team. And yeah, Doughton's great. Like, there's a lot of things about Jeff Doughton that I really like. And I really do think like I said, he's going to get converted and he'll be a part of our playoff roster at the end of the year. Bishop saying congratulations to Ron Jr. Yeah, it is very much a rite of passage. And I knew it was his first basket. I was like, oh, Ron just made his first NBA basket. But it took Matt Devlin and them to catch on a little bit later. They're like, oh, this is his first basket. They just figured it out. Yeah, it's a big rite of passage, and good kudos to him. They could have really used him at Mississauga last night, though, in a close game. They just once again, our teams are having trouble playing together as a team at times in offensive schemes, and they're being a little too selfish and trying to do too much in one individual, where they should be probably sharing the ball and working off of each other more. And this is happening on both levels. It happened last night with us in Scotty Bank Arena, and then it was happening out at 905 also. There's just points where guys try to take over and they're trying to isolate too much, and they're not really getting the best shot selection. That there's just poor shots are taken because guys are forcing it instead of working it around and trying to help each other get open off of each other. And this is an issue on both teams. That's an issue down on 905, probably worse on 905 than it is on the main roster. Because I've seen this. It's like a lot of guys just taking over and just trying to beat everybody. Maybe they're trying to beat like 3 of the defenders by themselves. And I'm like, dude, you're getting triple teamed. You need to pass it to somebody else. Let's see. Fun guy saying Malachi Flynn has the worst defense and defensive tactics I maybe ever seen on Raptors. The N1s he gives are unfathomable. He kept getting caught in no man's land where he's the only guy back against like Kevin on the break. He can't win that. He can't win that. I'm sorry. He can't win Kevin on the break. If it's one-on-one, he's the defender and Kevin's coming at him, he's going to lose every single time. And that is part of the problem with playing Malachi a lot is if he's going to be the guard, he's got to be the first guy back. And then he's got to deal with maybe height against him on the break. There was a couple plays where Kyrie was coming at him and he fouled him and he didn't manage to do like if you're going to foul him, Malachi, you got to make sure he doesn't make it. And that's the problem. You foul him with a cheap foul and he makes the basket still and he gets a 3-point play. It's either you foul him really hard and put him on the line, hope he misses one or two of those, and then maybe he only gets one or two. But when you foul him and you allow him to also complete the basket, that is really, really bad. That is the worst kind of outcome. And I think that's what you're talking about is he was just a step too late or Kyrie's just savvy and he's just really good. I mean, Kyrie was really doing some of his masterful kind of stuff. He really kind of rocked us to sleep. He did exactly that. He did that move, that rock move where he steps into you and then all of a sudden he kind of bounces back and you're trying to recover on him. And he had Thad on him at one point and he's shooting it and Thad's all over him. He recovers. He's right on him, but he still makes this crazy, miraculous shot. It's crazy. He's really, really good. And he's very tough to beat. With our regular main team altogether, he's tough to beat, let alone with guys missing. So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't know. Malachi's good defender in certain ways. Like, he's good at, like, just being dogged, like, transition defense, like a guard pounding the ball handler. And he's good in other places. But when he gets switched down low into a mismatch against a bigger guy, he really gets exploited. And that could be in some ways part of the reason why he's not been played so much over the last few years and why Eric Flynn's so pissed off. Well, Nick knows, look, your son is also a defensive liability to a degree if he gets switched into mismatches. And there was a lot of that last night. As far as him, even Jeff Doughton was getting switched on a little bit last night. And yeah, playing positionless has made us realize that we don't have to worry about that problem hardly ever. And when we do play Malachi, we do. Let's see. David's saying at Savage, surely you have something better to do than troll a Raptors. And yes, Lex, this is literally the sole thing other than he looks half asleep all the time. And that drives me crazy, that shot. I'm wondering who you're talking about there. I know we switched around. Now, Savage, listen, I don't know what Savage's life is, why he wants to be in all these Raptor spaces being a little troll. I don't know. Who knows? He could be like a Raptors fan. He's just very cynical and jokey, and he just likes to like talk shit. And this is just the way he is. It says, it is what it is. All right, let's see. Callie's saying, I don't know who you're talking about though, David, with the other thing, the soul other thing. He looks half asleep all the time. That drives me crazy. Who player looks half asleep? I'm trying to remember. Remember, use the proper names because I jump from player to player so quick. Callie's saying Gary did play better defense, though. Not sure what's happening with his three-pointer. Yeah, we do need to give Gary some kudos that he did play way more active defense. He was doing more of the stuff that we really need him to do. I don't think last night was a fail for Gary completely. He didn't do good enough to make one of my 3 stars, but I don't think that he was absolutely awful either. It would have really helped if he'd made his shots a little bit more, though, for sure. Dwayne Greenridge is here. Good to see Raptor Freak Dwayne Greenridge. Good morning, everyone. Salute to all the Raptors freaks. Salute to you, Dwayne. You have a great Thursday. Happy American Thanksgiving to the Americans that celebrate Thanksgiving today. Yeah, that may be part of like something was going on in some people's minds. Like, oh, Thanksgiving's tomorrow. I got to get my stuffing and my turkey together. Monique saying Nick Nurse looks so sick, just awful. He does really look sick. He looks tortured right now. He really does look tortured. His bright, bulbous red nose and just his scratchy voice and just like his bloodshot eyes and his just like lamenting. Like you could tell, like he's pissed. He's pissed because his team is hurt and it's really hard to coach this team, missing your rookie of the year from last year and your all NBA franchise player and your captain, who's also an all-star. The credentials, the resumes of the guys that are missing right now, it doesn't help. And he's sick of it probably. He's exhausted with it. He's exhausted because he's tired and sick. He's literally sick and tired. And then also he just keeps getting bad news, like yesterday, getting Scotty news. And then Fred also. So he's just like throwing his hands up. He's like, what can I do with this? What can I do with this? The NBA is harder than ever. All teams are very like there's a lot of parity. All these teams are good. There's no slouches. There's no games where this season where it's like, okay, this is a slouch and we can kind of have an easier night. There's none of that this season. It doesn't seem like it. When you play the Pistons and the Rockets who are at the bottom, it doesn't feel like, okay, these are slouch teams and they're just going to roll over and we're going to beat them. It is very competitive in the NBA this year, and not having health is really a huge detriment. It's a huge detriment. And I feel bad for Nick. I just want him to get better. I think he has that sponsorship with Fisherman's Friends still, and get those Fisherman Friends in there, Nick, and get your throat back and get just feeling better, man. Hopefully, maybe in the next 2 days, you guys can get some more rest and maybe you'll look better. Because who knows, man? I mean, these guys are sick. You can tell that like they've been sick, and I hate it. Cool Cat saying learned about Flynn's game, learned some about Doughton Jr. Gary Trent Jr. got some steals after Nick called him out. OG reliably number 2 to Pascal. Ron Harper Jr.'s threes, and he can't be pushed around. Thaddeus floor general. Yeah, so these are Cool Cat's observations from being at the game last night. Yeah, we did learn stuff about all these different guys. We learned more about Jeff Doughton for sure. We finally saw Ron Harper Jr. score for the first time. Gary Trent trying to do what Nick is asking him to do and doing it a bit better last night. And of course, Thaddeus, just an MVP in these tough, troubled times that we're in the middle of, just doing all kinds of cool, different things. We just love seeing his his vent savvy, like some of the passes he throws, or just the really smart steals, or even just like the rebounds. Sometimes he telegraphs rebounds and the spot to where it's going, and he really goes after it. Like there was one rebound that came into the middle of the lane, and he ran from the corner all the way into the lane because he had telegraphed where it was going to be and got to the spot before anybody else. So Thad's been such an MVP in the last week, and absolute, like, we needed him so bad to be anywhere near kind of competing in these games. Nameless is saying, even if Ron doesn't play, who cares? Just a depth piece. Let's be honest. I was never looking for Ron Harper Jr. to come and save us. Not never. Yeah, I mean, I like the clutch stuff he did in college, and I was hoping that maybe that kind of stuff could really translate here and help things, but maybe it won't. And it's just how it's got to have to be and stuff. So, all right, it just jumped the real far. I'm coming back. Yeah, so we don't really have to depend on Ron for too much. Just let him just see how he does. And if he gets a good NBA career, that'll be awesome. That's really what he wants. Mike saying Ron Harper Jr.'s name confusion. Yeah, it made me think Hollis Jefferson also when I saw the RHJ. But that is who it is now. Currently, it's RHJ is Ron Harper. Savage saying Gary stepped up. 2 games ago, he shot 7% from 3, and last night he was sniping 12% of them. Cheers. See, listen, he can get away with these burns because, first of all, they're factual. And yeah, it's also kind of like, yeah, okay, kick us while we're down, Savage. Jeez. Bishop saying celebrate November 27th, RHJ Day. November 27th, that's next week. I don't understand. Is it his birthday? Maybe. I don't know. Monique saying Flynn's game is coming along nicely, man. Let's go, boys. Not worried. Congratulations, Dad, on 1,000. It was at 1,100 games, actually, Monique. I think he played 1,100 games now in the league. Yeah, Flynn, man, listen, he's getting these opportunities. In the past, we've seen him start, and he has way better games than he did last night. This was really a game that if he really wants to make it so, like, Nick Nurse has a hard time not playing him, last night was a game where he should have showed that stuff that makes it so hard for him to not be benched. And he didn't do that. Like, we really wanted to see Pro-Am Malachi Flynn in effect last night, just bombing, hitting everything. And that didn't happen. He was missing shots last night. I don't like that. That's the most important thing for him is he's got to make his shots. He's got to make a higher percentage of his shots, and he's got to score a lot. Otherwise, he's no good to us on the court. He's a detriment otherwise. He's not going to help us with playmaking. He's not a plus defender. In fact, we saw him get mismatched against and really hurt us. So it's like, Malachi, you want to play in the NBA? You want to play for the Raptors? You need to fucking make your shot because that's the most important thing that you do for us and the thing that we need the most from you. And you're not coming through. Cool Cat saying, I always stay to the end of the game because I want to see our bench showcase the skills they're working on. I feel bad for Flynn. If he's not shooting threes, he will hurt us. Yeah, this is basically what I just said. Cool Cat is echoing it before I even read it. She's saying the exact same thing I'm saying right now. It's just like not worth playing him if his shot's not going down. Kareem saying, I'm not worried. Take any three of the four best players off any team and see how they pan out. We good, Raptors family. Just continue to tread water. Yeah, and this is a very astute, positive attitude, and this is what most sane Raptor fans should be thinking. This isn't like silliness. This is exactly true. Like if you take Kevin, Kyrie, Ben, and let's say Claxton off that team, and none of them are available, what is that Nets team? Seriously, you take their top four guys. What is that Nets team? You take our top four times, guys. You see what we are. And we would beat any team. Like if we could do this, like if the NBA did this thing where it's like injury parity. All right, they're missing their top four guys. Well, you can't play your top four. And then it's a battle of that. We would win all the time because we work harder and, we do better with less talent when we don't have guys. So, yeah, I agree with Kareem Thomas. And that may be the comment of the day right there. What he just said. That may be the comment of the day right there. That he's not worried, and you take any of the best players off other teams, and you see how well they do. Yeah. Raptor Freak Mason Culligan's here. Good to see him. Hey, guys, rough games being down. Our guy is really hard for us, but we are doing the best we can with what we have, hoping we get some guys back soon. Yes, that's all we can hope for. We need the coming in to being play on the team and out not being able to play. The revolving doors need to go the other way this time, not going out. They need to start coming back in, and we need more of that quickly, fast. And it's this kind of thing where we're going to have this hard time. And when these guys start showing up and we start playing so well and we start running, everybody's going to be like, holy crap, I forgot how good this team is when it's at full strength, because we've had so many injuries so far this season and it's hard to look at. It is really true. Like if we look at last year and this year, we're 9-9 right now. Last year we were 8-10 at this time, and I would argue that the injuries from last season at the beginning of the year are very similar to this year. In fact, this year may be worse. We may have worse injuries at the beginning of the year than we did last year. It's like we're missing Pascal just as much as we missed him last year at the beginning of the season. But now we're missing people like Fred and Scotty at the beginning of the season. And that's crazy. We've missed Gary for time. We've missed every single one of our important Raptors for at least a little bit of time. I don't think any of our guys has played every single game this season. I don't know. We could go look at the stats. Maybe somebody's played every game this season, but I don't think so. I think everybody's missed at least one game. And it is really hard. We just got to get them back. Start coming back. Monique saying, I love the great signs from the Thad's kids. You read my mind, Lex, about the 3 stars. Totally. Okay, so you had the same 3 stars as me. Thad, Wancho, and Jeff Dowden. Yeah. Yeah, the stuff with Thad and his kids, it's really important to him to be a good role model and to teach kids the right way to play and the right way to be a pro. And he is a really, really consummate good role model in all kinds of different ways. Let's see. Cool Cat saying OG has no legs or form for his threes when he has to play hard on both sides of the court equally. That goes to show how hard Pascal works on both sides. We can't find any comparison as yet in stamina. Yeah, OG, I'm wondering what's going on with this shot. He has shot so poorly from 3 recently, and he's such a dead-eye precision kind of shot. His jump shot is very calculated and very good and sound. Something's wrong with him as far as getting elevation or just not get the right shot for some reason. I don't know what's going on with this 3. And it's interesting you said that he has no legs. It could very well be that he's overworked and too much pressure, too much on his back right now. That he can't. That's part of what he needs. He can't be the number one because it's so much pressure, and he just doesn't succeed. That he needs Pascal's presence next to him. Mike saying Jack had that drip on full. Yeah, man. I don't know. Drake wanted to give him that jacket, but he said, no, I'll get it back later. I was like, man, are you going to give Jack that jacket? It is almost Christmas season, Drake. You just give him the jacket. He's like, man, we don't know how much that jacket was worth. That could be like a $30,000 jacket or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. And it was funny because he had the hood up and he just looked silly. Like Jack had a new haircut for the game last night. And you can tell since he's got an album out and he's doing this whole thing with his Christmas album and the show at Danforth Music Hall, he's got an image consultant. You can tell because they came in, they said, Jack, you need to trim up all that beard that you always leave scraggly. You have your ponytail for years. We know you've been having that long hair during the pandemic and you've been tying it up in a ponytail. But now you got a haircut. Somebody came in and said, Jack, we need to make you look more appealing so you'll sell more records. So he got an image consultant, obviously, because he came in looking sharp. They came last night with that new haircut. And I was like, Jack is looking like somebody came in and worked on his look and helped him out. And I really do think it has something to do with his Christmas album, but it's hilarious. Mason saying, I'm not panicking. Just as a fan, it makes me a bit sick, but it's a long season. Get healthy is my number one thing for the Raptors. It's a very long season, Mason, and don't give up on us. Just ride through it all with us. This is literally what it means, ride or die, is you go through every little part, even the part that sucks, even the part that you hate. And that makes all the good success later all the sweeter. So you just stick with us, Mason. We did this last year, and it happened last year the same way. So hopefully we can just weather this storm and make the best of every situation we got going on. Bishop saying, I mentioned lag last week, but no one likes a little whiner except for Mr. and Mrs. Whiner. I don't know what this is in relation to. You're talking about lag last week? I don't know. I don't know who you're exactly talking about, Andrew, but it's all good. Maybe elaborate or something down below. And remember, guys, I may not get to your comment for a while, so put all the proper nouns in there to reestablish the subject of what you're talking about. And I don't know who you're calling a little whiner. I don't know. Mr. and Mrs. Whiner. I don't know them either. Savage is saying he capped at 66% from three. Can't mess those percentages up. All right, you're still talking about Gary. I'm not totally sure. Once again, y'all need to write it in. I know it may seem kind of funny and like, oh, but when you say just he or things like that, I don't know who you're talking about. Jimmy's saying, I just don't get too emotionally committed when our injury report looks the way it does. The fun will come. Trust me. Yeah, Jimmy, that's another great approach that Raptor fans should be using. That Jimmy Pope is being a good role model here. It's like, look, let's be realistic. Look at the injury report. Let's look at realistically what our chances are. I thought our chances were pretty good if Fred and Scotty had suited up to win the game last night. But once I heard Scotty and Fred was out, I'm like, man, this is not going to be good. We're not going to win this game probably. But I had hope. And, we never say die, and there is still a possibility, but the chances aren't very good at that point when you're missing your three best players. Let's see. Mike's saying, funny enough, the Drake stuff gets more play down south than our games. Yeah, they're going to put that on blast, and it's fun. It is fun. It's cool. I mean, listen, Drake's got that album out, and it's so funny to hear Matt Devlin say 21. Matt said, hey, Drake's here, 21, and he's like 21. Drake's kind of laughing at him. It's like, Matt, can you be uncool enough? He's like trying to say 21 like he does in the songs. 21 Savage. Hilarious. Monique is saying 905 in the big club basically have the same record. Almost stay focused. P Skills returns just now. Hopefully he'll be back in the next couple of days, and he won't be back for Dallas, I'm hearing, but he'll be back hopefully for Cleveland next Monday, hopefully. That's the next big game after that. And it's great that we have all these home games in a row, that we can be at home for like a week straight. And that's good. I really do like that. Let's see. Nameless is saying, I would never let Drake hang out with me. Never. I don't know. I mean, listen, he's our global ambassador. Some people hate him. Some people are haters of him. I listen, he's on our team, and he's such an overpowering juggernaut in the music industry that I'll champion him. His music's hit and miss. Now, I really do critique music videos, and some of his stuff has been very, very good in the last couple of years, but some of it has been dreadful. And I just there's some motifs and things that he uses in his songs that I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, you're kind of just a fuck boy. But also I'm kind of like, you know what, Drake, you've done a lot of good for my team that I love. So I have to love him no matter what, Nameless. I'm sorry. Mike's saying, without Fred VanVleet and Siakam, we're definitely not the same team. Those are the guys that push winning, not going to lie. Yeah, it was kind of a litmus test for OG in that kind of respect. Are you that dude? Can you step up? Well, we see the limits of OG's leadership. that there's certain things OG can do to try and help fill the void of the leadership void. And some things he's just not going to do or step up to do for us. And that's too bad. Bishop's saying, I don't think you have to worry about that, nameless. Yeah, oh, worry about Drake hanging out. Scott B saying, is it just me or do we win even when we lose? OG is the real deal, and these games aren't scaring me one bit. Best team in the league. Go Raptors, go. Scott B, you go. That's a great Raptors freak, positive mentality about things. I agree. In some ways, we do still win even when we lose because we're winning through development and on a fact-finding mission. Nick Nurse is putting things out there, trying different permutations and combinations of the lineup. And, there were a couple of lineups out there that were very intriguing. I found it very interesting to have Gary, Malachi, and Jeff out there all at the same time. Even though they were a small lineup, there was a lot of like 3-point firepower with Wancho also being out there. Like there was a couple of lineups. I was like, wow, these are a lot of good snipers on the court right now, but it didn't really translate to good 3-point success though, which was weird. But there was that kind of look, and I liked how they were kind of playing off each other and trying to get each other open in some ways. I wish that they had just gotten better shots. Like the assists weren't that good last night for the Raptors. Is that really kind of indicates that they weren't playing off each other. 16 assists, that's not good enough. It's really not good enough. We did get outplayed in a lot of categories last night. Obviously, they way outshot us, way more three-pointers, and we did better at the free throw line than them. We did out-rebound them, 23 offensive rebounds to 7. That's really where we're trying to beat them back, is with the rebounding and the physicalness. But even the points in the paint, they were just 2 points less than us. So we didn't even dominate near the basket. They were coming in and doing stuff there too. All right, let's see. Nameless saying, Bishop, I used to know him in passing. I've had friends in his immediate circle. He's my age, and he is not what you see on TV. Yeah, this is true, too. We got to realize there are a lot of people here in Toronto that have had connections with Drake in real life, may have grew up around him. And I know this is my Drake story. When I in 1999, the summer of 1999, I was the manager of the Pizza kiosk at Ontario Place. That's the kiosk behind the Cinesphere movie theater. I used to run that pizza stand behind there in another life in the summer of 1999 and 2000, 2 summers in a row. I managed it. And I was all my staff were high school kids just doing summer jobs. And I had to do the schedules and run the whole place. It was crazy. It was a really fun job. It was a lot of hard work. But I would come into work through the exhibition, take the Bathurst streetcar down and walk through Exhibition Place to get to Ontario Place. And when I walk across, sometimes there would be this young man that would be standing near the bridges across Ontario Place when they're opening. And he basically was giving his CDs out and selling them. And that was Drake. I saw him. I walked right by him on my way to work in like 1999. And he was out there. And I remember him because he was such an odd looking kid. And this is what he said he did back when before he hit it big. He would hit places in Toronto that had a lot of foot traffic and try and get his music out to people that way. So I remember, this is my memory of Drake in the past before he hit it big around Toronto, was seeing him at Ontario Place trying to sell his CDs when I was going to work. All right, let's keep going. Shane Waters saying, I was really happy with the first half of play. Boucher was dominating on the offensive glass. He really was. He was in there. And you know what? Some of those baskets, he didn't get fruition, like putting them all the way back. He'd get like 2 or 3 rebounds, and he still didn't make the shot because they were really physical around him. And the refs were not playing nice with us as far as letting physicality happen to us and not letting us do a whole lot to them at the other end. And I really don't like the refs from last night. They all pissed me off. They all pissed me off, and they were a factor in some ways of holding us back from getting momentum to try and keep this game competitive with the Nets at different times. And it really pissed me off. Let's see. Yeah. Also, Shane saying lots of good things from the look of our 9 different starting lineup. Put the ball in the basket, though. Yeah, definitely. That's a huge one. They just need to put the ball through the hoop. Just make the shots, Raptors. Like, you're getting open shots. Y'all are a basketball team. That's what y'all are supposed to do, is make the shots. We can't have y'all missing so much. They're open shots. You got to make them. You got to make them. Oh, my gosh, you got to make them. Mason saying our defense at times was not there. We got steals, but cannot get point off of them all the time. So we get the steal and not make the points. It's hard to watch, but being hurt the way we are, I understand the waiting game. Yeah. Yeah, I like them to convert on transition when we get a turnover. And they did do a little bit of that last night, but still there's some times where you go down the court and you just don't get it to go in. It's so crazy to me that these guys are high level. If you have a 2-on-1 break, you should be able to beat that one person. Mike saying it takes energy and creates openings for teams to score off Gary Trent gambling for steals and Flynn buffering on every decision and reacting late on defense. Yeah, it may be that because we have less of our personnel, normal personnel, that Nick may need to dial back the aggressiveness of our defense because it may not be that we have the best kind of like rotation cover up behind it. Maybe these guys just haven't played as much as the other guys and they're not as good at it from practicing it so much also. That could be part of the factor too. You have your second team in your B team, and these guys are kind of not really like rotating as crisply, or maybe they just haven't practiced the system enough to be really super effective and very perfect at it. And there was part of that. There were a couple of breakdowns with the rotations because, like, Gary's going to gamble to try and get steals. He needs to know guys behind him will pick up his guy that he's defending in case he's like going past him and down there. Now there was one play where OG tried to score and he made a really strong move and he honestly got fouled and he should have been on the line, but they didn't call it and he fell out of bounds and he fell and lost his balance and he couldn't get up very quickly. And they were right down the court on a 5-on-4 advantage and they scored on us and OG just couldn't get back in time. And that's really partly because he was pushed and he went with such force out of bounds that he was like running catch up and he just didn't get anywhere near there. That was a really bad play. Because two things happened. He should have got a free throw and should have, gone online. And also they went and got an easy score because he didn't get a call for a whistle when he should have. And he was on the floor because of it. There were a couple of times where our guys would be on the floor and there was nothing. They would swallow the whistle. And I really did hate the refs last night. Normally I'll say the refs are pretty fair, but last night there was a lot of fuckery. And I blame James Capers Jr. specifically. And he's somebody that I'm really going to be watching. He's starting to get like Ed Malloy kind of like reputation with me, as far as he might be an NBA hit job guy from the head office. That James Capers, it makes sense because his father, James Capers Sr., was a ref for so many years before. He really is ensconced in like the old identity of the referees in the league. And there may be a certain level of like, okay, yeah, he's this kind of ref. Just because he's been a ref for 30 years and his father was a ref for how many years before that? So his family's been in reffing in the NBA for like 50 something years. So there may be some sort of weird shit that he's like, I don't know. I really do think he's a ref hit job guy like Ed Malloy at this point. Let's see. Vinny Max here. Okay, guys, we got Vince McMahon here. He's retired now, forced into retirement because of sexual allegations and payoffs with his employees. Vince, you are sullied in your name, but I'm glad that you decided to come to the Raptors Free channel and join us and give us your astute observations. Now, I didn't know this, but Vince is a Raptors fan for the last 40 years. That's amazing. I don't know how you did this. Now, you must be a fan of the dinosaur because there wasn't no Raptors 40 years ago. Vinny Mac. Oh my gosh. But I do love that you support our team. I won't go with that. All right. So he's saying, I'm absolutely disgusted with what I'm seeing out on the floor. I see a lack of desire. What's up with Scotty only averaging 14 points this year? Unacceptable. Oh my gosh, Vince. Once again, in some ways, your history with wrestling and your assessment of talent has not been very good at different times. I'm going to tell you right now. And we're going to just transfer this to basketball at this point. That your points are kind of asinine in some ways. Let me just break it down real quick. You see a lack of desire with our team. I don't see that. I see these guys very much working very hard and busting their ass in a very difficult situation in a mismatch of talent. That's what I saw last night. I don't know why you saw that. And what's up with Scotty only averaging 14 points this year? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's not that far off from his average from last year. Vince, I know you miss running the WWE. You're not anymore. And maybe this is part of what's happening here. You're like, unacceptable. Give me Jerry Briscoe. I'm firing people. Oh Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you, Vince, for your contribution. And yeah, no, your comments are unacceptable. All right, let's see. Scott B saying the Drake, Matt Devlin, Jack Armstrong commentary was hilarious. Best of the year. I think Flynn looks awesome this year. Maybe not last night, but that kid has got a lot better. Yeah, I like this. Scott B, I think you're right. Malachi's having a good year this year so far. It's just last night was an opportunity that was lost. And it's too bad because we really want him to stack really good games and really make it hard for Nick to put him on the bench for too long. And yeah, that commentary that was so awesome. And they really did not commentate for the first quarter. And it was funny because Kayla Gray said, okay, what did we learn in the first quarter of the game? That Jack and Drake have shows coming up. Is this true? They did normally they do that in the third quarter, but I guess they just like improvised, impromptu, or like, oh, Drake's sitting there with a really cool Teddybear Jacket. Let's talk. And then later, Jack was like wanting his Twizzlers. Did you notice that? He's like, Drake's got Twizzlers. Can I ask him for one? Like, this is all comedy gold. This is just like real life. This Jack's a real one. He's such as a real person. He's like, I really love red licorice. I want to ask Drake for some of his licorice. Just seems like some weird, like fucked up, like something made up. Okay, our commentator's asking Drake for licorice in the middle of the game. Drake. Oh, it's so good. It's hilarious. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. Monique saying, I'm thinking ahead to the next game already. Contain Luca. Yeah. Double team him. Guard the three. Don't leave him open. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's just the beginning of the scouting report or the game plan for the Dallas Mavericks. Games at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Now, I'm going to be doing something weird with my schedule on Saturday, y'all, just so you know. I'm going to be doing 2 streams on Saturday. I'm going to do a 9:30 a.m. preview for the Dallas Mavericks game, and I'm going to do my reaction to the Dallas game at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night. I know that's not the best time because people will be out and stuff like that, but we're going to do the reaction stream for the Mavericks game on Saturday night at 9:30 since their game is earlier on Saturday, and I'm going to be very busy on Sunday morning. I will not be able to live stream on Sunday morning. So this Sunday will not be any streams on this channel. I'm going to make up for it ahead of time and do a stream on Saturday night. So that is your programming note or in the next couple days. So expect to see me twice on Saturday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern and 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Both times on Saturday, I will be on live. So there you go. And nothing on Sunday. Nothing on Sunday. You'll find out tomorrow why. Let's see. Okay. Where was I in the comments? Jimmy Pope is saying Nick said the guys that came back are still under the weather. Yeah, they're not like Gary's not totally 100%, but he was moving better. I think it may be that he's still sick, but I think that his injury with his like leg is much better. That's the thing that made him look slower and not look as good is the physical injury because he had both. He was sick and he's dealing with injury. There's a couple of these guys that have this. Delano's another one. He's been sick and he has an ankle injury. So it's really tough what's happening. Now, Nick was asked about injuries in the league right now. Why is there such an abundance of injuries all around the league? It's not just our team. There's other teams that are having these issues also and having a lot of guys out. And it was very interesting what Nick said. He thinks it has to do with 2 things with the generation of people that are coming up. And the one that he really keyed on is one of them is like taking care of your body, like getting enough rest, really like, taking care of it, babying your body, kind of like what Thaddeus has been talking about. Well, I played in this league this long. It's really because I've done the hot and cold baths. I've done all the preparation, all the things to keep my body in good shape. And I do it whether I'm playing or not. It's just how I've been the key to my success for longevity in the NBA is really taking care of my body. Well, Nick's saying that he thinks it's 2 things with the young players of today's culture. He said that, some of it is that they don't take care of themselves exactly right. They may be staying up too late. They may be not resting enough. And then the other one is nutrition. He said that these players that are coming up now, they don't necessarily grow up with their mom cooking all their food for them like older players and older generations, and that they would be built strong from nutrition. And that he worries about modern players these days eating junk food too much. And that may be part of the reason why their body isn't as strong and healthy is because they're eating shit food. And that, listen, if I was an athlete and from me knowing how much food and food you eat affects who you are and what's going on with you in your body, you would realize you need to eat healthy because you would have so many different kind of health outcomes in your life. Just if you cut out the bad shit that you're eating, you'd be shocked. Even if you just started drinking more water, you'd be shocked at the health outcomes that can really help you be happier and healthier and less depressed and just have more energy and all kinds of stuff. Now, watching Scotty on Twitch this summer and watching what he's eating, I get a little concerned because the dude may not totally eat the best nutrition sometimes. And I think this is what Nick's saying is that these young players are not very disciplined with their nutrition these days. And they may be eating a lot of junk food. And that he thinks that this may have part of the reason why there's an epidemic of injuries in the NBA today is that they're not eating home cooked meals made by mom that are healthy. They're eating fast food. They're eating Chick-fil-A. They're eating junk. They're eating potato chips. They're eating just a bunch of garbage and putting it in their body, and it becomes what their body is. You are what you eat. That is very true. So if you're eating a lot of shit, then you're going to feel like shit. So if you eat healthy, a lot of vegetables, good foods, whole foods, not manufactured processed foods, foods that your grandma would recognize from 100 years ago because, oh, that's cheese. Oh, that's eggs. Oh, that's meat. Instead of just like some fucked up crazy thing that some corporation put together in a lab that's like not even really food. That's what I'm saying. So Nick's blaming nutrition partly for the injury epidemic in the NBA today, that young players just aren't eating correctly. Let's see. All right, let's see. Bishop's saying the team is 27 years old. Yeah, I don't understand Vinnie Mac. He's like, I don't know. Maybe he went to the ROM a lot and he looked at the dinosaurs there. He's like, I've been a fan of the Raptors for a long time. They're here at ROM. Oh, and they got a basketball team all of a sudden. Okay, maybe that's what it is, Andrew. Mike's saying, Vinnie Mac, salute. Interesting to see you here. Laughing my ass off. Vince, I love wrestling. You've done so many awful things with wrestling. In fact, Vince, I want to get real with you real quick. I think you're a gangster. I think you're kind of on the fucked up end of like a dangerous, evil person. I think you kill people. I think you've killed many people throughout your life and you've gotten away with it because you're just that fucked up and crazy. Like, I think you killed Owen Hart. I seriously do think you killed Owen Hart. I think you killed a couple other wrestlers already too. I think you might have killed the Ultimate Warrior also. That may sound like crazy wrestling conspiracy theory talk, but you connect all the dots in certain things and realize there's a lot of grudges in wrestling. And the Owen Hart thing was really fishy to me. There's a lot of different weird deaths around wrestling that are very fishy, trust me. So yeah, Vince, I think you're a fucked up person. Not only do you sexually harass women behind the scenes and have to pay them off, you had to pay $12 million to these type of women. And I've heard some of their stories. You kept it under wraps for so long, and now it's all come out and ruined your career being at charge. Well, I also think you've done very, like, even the Benoit shit's a little fishy and weird to me. I know Benoit may have done that for real, but there's some things about it that don't totally add up. And knowing you and how much of this kind of shit happens around you in your life and your company, it really makes me think something's fishy about you. That in some ways you're like a mafioso and you may have put hits out on people and people have died because you wish them to die. Yeah. That's a little bit off normal topics here. But since Vince is here, I want to make these accusations. Yeah, there you go. All right, let's keep going. Lion Hunter's here. Good to see Lion Hunter. Doughton was impressive yesterday. He's pretty poised and can create. He should get more run. Flynn was disappointing. Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm more and more on the Jeff Doughton train, just partly because he does a lot of steady shit that we just need, like basic, like point guard kind of like standards. And in some ways, Malachi is a really good scorer and shooter, but he's not the best at making opportunities for other guys. He's not really the passing point guard. He's the shooting kind of point guard. And Jeff can maybe be a little bit more of that passing point guard, maybe more of that stereotypical prototype point guard kind of duties and things that he does. And that's something really appealing about that on our team, especially with the consistency that he shows. All right, Vince is saying you have slow mode on. 5 minutes in between sending messages is a long time. You got to keep the viewers involved. Go Raptors, Canada pride. All right, Vince, I didn't know you like Canada. You treated Jack Tunney so horribly. I know he took some money from you, but do you really like Canada? I don't know. You shouldn't have treated Brett so badly in Montreal. Anyway, I have to do this, Vinny, because my time will be like 5 hours if I don't spread out y'all's comments, because you guys will just be typing the whole time and I'll be reading this all day. Cool Cat saying our entire team has the flu in different stages. Nick has it for the longest time for sure. He might have started it. Noah system's working well for Scotty in his threes. Ah, man. Yeah, I know. I wish that, like, listen, we should be treating these guys a little bit like pandemic times. Like, if these dudes are sick, why aren't they wearing masks? If these dudes are sick, why aren't they being quarantined away from other players instead of getting each other sick every which way? Once you feel like you're sick, if there's anything we learn in pandemic times, you should go and isolate. And I don't think that we're doing that with our team correctly. In fact, we're seeing Nick so sick in the media scrums with reporters like Michael Grange all up in his face. I'm like, Michael Grange, you're going to get sick standing next to Nick Nurse like that. So I'm wondering about this. How contagious and how much of this could have been avoided if we just kind of controlled it a little better? Because it's really bugging me how we're sick like this. Now, the Noah system, this jury's still out. I mean, Savage may have a point with his troll comment about the Noah system. Is it helping us right now, or is it just a fun video game? Sue saying, good morning, everyone. Good morning to Sue. Good morning from Monique. Jimmy Pope is saying, you guys can't give any criticisms given our current situation. I agree with Jimmy Pope. I do. I mean, in some ways you can and you can't. I wouldn't give any criticisms about the team and the outcome of winning or losing, but you can look at individual play on the court and say who played best and who didn't play that well in certain ways on the court. And I think that's fair. But as a team, you can't really criticize them as a whole and just say, okay, this is who our team is and this is how it is and stuff like that. So I agree with Jimmy Pope on that. That it really shouldn't make any blanket observations about the whole team. But yeah, sure, we can look at Jeff Dowden, we can look at Gary, we can look at Chris Boucher and say, okay, this is what they did individually in the game. Sue saying we were in it last night until the third quarter, but can't be upset. We are down so many people. Once we were healthy, watch out. Yeah, I agree with this. This is a very common sentiment today. Mike saying, not gonna lie, Doughton was moving his feet on defense and really showing effort. I think they could position Flynn into a trade and replace him with Doughton, fixing the money issue and allowing to hold everybody at the moment. Mike knows this stuff. Logical Raptors fanatic knows this stuff because he really pays attention to our salary cap and he's looking at the future and kind of understanding this. And this is an interesting path to go. Listen, we can get Malachi's trade value up a bit, and we do like Doughton in his spot instead. Hey, I'm all for what Mike's saying right here. I think that this is very wise. And if this does help us allow us to possibly keep people like Precious and OG and Gary long term, yeah, I'm all for this. I do not want to invest a lot of money into Malachi. I really don't. He needs to take bare minimum contracts if he wants to stay on this team. I do not think he deserves a payday, and that he really has not done enough consistently for that. And this year may have given him the opportunity to do that. Like Gary's fighting for a contract too this year. But he's not stepping up for it. And he did not last night. And I'd much rather go in the direction with Jeff Doughton in some ways. You know, Lolita's saying the flu seems to last for about a month or so and subject to relapse, unfortunately. Hopefully, when everyone gets healthy, we go on winning streak. Go Raptors. Jeez, I don't like hearing that this flu lasts like a month. I know that a lot of the school kids have been sick in Ontario recently. I know that this has been going around and everybody's been complaining about the flu. And I also worry about today because today's American Thanksgiving. Everybody's going to be traveling. Everybody's in airports. Everybody's flying around everywhere. And it just spreads. It's like spreader shit. It's like American Thanksgiving ruins Christmas. It basically does. It did last year. The people all went to Thanksgiving on American Thanksgiving and they spread COVID all around and there's an outbreak. And I couldn't go back to the States to see my family for Christmas because I didn't feel like it was safe to travel because there was so much COVID being spread around last holiday season. And, you know, this is the flu this time, but it's like, geez, I hate this. That like, you know, this is the day and age we're in, pandemics. And there's flus and things are being spread. I wish people would learn from this stuff and just continue to take precautions. There's no reason for us to go completely back to our regular lives right now. There's still problems with issues with things being spread. And it may be just common, like some of the traits that we did during the pandemic may just be smart to go forward with. You know, there's countries in Asia that wear masks regularly because of this issue. Part of it's because of air pollution, but it's also partly because of outbreaks with pandemics. And it's not that these people think, oh, they're being subjugated or controlled. They wear them because they know it's good for the health of society and that they care about that. And in some ways, wearing a mask still today is actually being a hero. And that maybe people will look at you and like, well, the pandemic's over and we hated it. And you're reminding me of us. And I hate you because you're wearing a mask. But maybe the people that are doing that are real heroes, is what I'm going to say. And I don't know. This team's so sick and we're having viruses going around everywhere. Well, let's be smart. We just learned a lot from the pandemic. How can we do the things we did during the pandemic to keep the Raptors as healthy as possible? Y'all need to do this shit. I know y'all were real good about staying away from people during the pandemic because we didn't get a lot of COVID at different times. But it's eventually going to happen and inevitable. But, you can lessen your chances in certain ways. Let's see. I hope it's not like a month though, Lolita. Geez, I hope it's not like a month that these guys are suffering. They are very talented, healthy athletes. So hopefully they have stronger bodies that can beat it quicker. Bishop saying, my mistake. November 23rd is Ron Harper's day, texting and listening at the same time. Oh, okay. You said yesterday. I thought you meant the birthday. Okay. Randolph saying, happy Thanksgiving to all Americans. Enjoy the blessings of another year as you celebrate. Yes. Happy Thanksgiving to I would say happy getting your families together and enjoying family time together. That's special. That's important. And, the other stuff that has to do with Thanksgiving is kind of full of shit. I just like that people get together and get time with their families. And, the other stuff's kind of full of shit. Monique saying, Doughton over everything. Don't doubt him at all. Don't forget Doughton is a G League champion. Yeah, they won the G League championships last year. Jeff Doughton did on the team he was on. Yeah, he's just a good player. I really like him. Savage is saying OG played every game. Okay, so OG's the only guy who's played every game. Thank you for fact checking me on that and allowing me the opportunity. So OG's the only one of the Raptors who's played every single game so far this season. Now, let's think about what he's been knocked with for years in the past, that he can't stay healthy. Well, this is great. If any of them are going to play in every single game, I'm glad it's OG, because he's been labeled a little bit in recent years. Jimmy saying Flynn was 2 for 3 from 3 last night. The only one to hit more than 1 3 was Ron, but Flynn always gets crapped on. Laughing my ass off. All right, I will give him that from the 3-point range, but why did he only shoot that many? Like, why didn't he shoot more? It's like we needed him to shoot more. And I don't like him going to the basket. I'm sorry. It's the same thing with Fred to a degree also. These guys, I know that they're like dribble artists. They can get around guys and they can throw these crazy wild shots up over and they bank and they fall in. But that is such a hard shot. That's not a good percentage shot. They're going to get in the lane like that. I don't want them to try and finish. I want them to kick it out. I want them to draw the attention to them as they get the lane and kick it out. Don't try and shoot it yourself, Malachi, because you can get blocked or quite often you miss. So it's either this, like, if you're going to go to the lane, you better pass it. I'd much rather you pass it than try and finish the layup. And I'd much rather you shoot either 3-pointers outside or mid-range jumpers, like dribble up and shot, stop, and pop. But I don't like you going all the way to the basket. Quite often that's just a failed attempt and a miss, and they just get the ball back. So that's something I'll say. You're right. We are maybe being unfair to Malachi to a degree. But once again, this is an opportunity. He needed to rise to the occasion, and he's not showing the stuff that Eric Flynn brags so badly that we're missing with Fred playing instead of him. Well, Fred's not playing. Malachi, it's your show. You're not proving what Eric Flynn's saying, though, about you, and that you should be playing. Sue saying Doughton has been impressive so far. He will continue to grow. He will be really good. Yeah, I like Doughton. Mason Culligan saying we need everyone to be all healthy. Then we will be okay. I promise. Yeah, I agree with that. Nameless saying totally agree with Kareem. You can't take that kind of caliber player from your roster and expect things are sweet and that you're going to win. It's kind of super impressive on the download that the Raptors can compete at a certain level in these last 2 games with the caliber of guys that they're missing. Some teams will lose a Pascal and they're just ruined for time. Like, you lose a Pascal level player on your team and you just suck. You're going to lose a lot. Well, we're treading water, and that's important. Fun guy saying Koloko and OG are the only 2 to have played every game, and I'm sorry, guys, but we got to find a new home for Flynn. He's so bad, even when he's making some shots. The thing for me is, like, listen, I'm looking at him for each year. We look at the Tampa year as rookie year. We look at last year. We look at this year. And what we see is that, he has a certain like level of like, wow, excellence. If he's really on, he can do this, but that's not very consistent. It's not very often. And there's very much a letdown, disappointment, like 2 disappointment games. And then there's one huge game that he plays really well. And that's kind of been his pattern. It's like he just can't get a set baseline of like, I'm just kicking ass. And when he kicks ass, all of a sudden he gets hurt and he's not available all of a sudden. That's kind of been the pattern with him. So yeah, I'm not against. He's the one guy on our team that I've always been okay with trading because I don't feel like he fits our team in the first place. I don't think he ever fit our team. I was mystified by that draft pick in some ways. Like when we got him, I was like, why did we get this dude? And I'm still kind of that way. I don't put this on blast too much because I do want him to succeed and do well as an NBA player. But in some ways, I don't like him being a Raptor. I do think that if we move him sometime this year, this could be really good, especially if with what Logical Raptors fanatics describing, it helps our cap space and our ability to keep guys that I do really value on our team. So yeah, I'm with you guys in a lot of ways as far as like if Flynn's not a Raptor in the future, it could be really good for him. He could go to a team like Orlando and actually really blossom like Utah has for Brooklyn. So it may be in his best interest not to play for the Raptors and something. I know we've accumulated this time with him and Fred, and he's supposed to be the understudy that comes up after this and after this. But I'd rather Fred start switching to maybe catering towards Delano and Scotty for this kind of like teaching down to the next person after him, like Lowry did for him. That he did it for Flynn. Flynn will have that stuff and he can take it somewhere else and hopefully do really huge things for a lesser team that needs him more and can allow him to fail a lot and still have time to succeed also. So we can't. We don't have time for him to just waste and fail. He needs to actually succeed all the time. That's what we need for our team. So yeah, I'm with this, and I'm usually like I will stand up and say we don't need to trade anybody, but in this case, I think it may be smart. Patrick's saying Flynn didn't shine. Sorry, he has to make the shots. Not really taking the summer off is manifesting. So that means we will be manifesting in the work that was put in with wins come mid to late season. Yeah, I think so too. You know, sometimes one of the last night, one of the things I really think helped us is Rico Hines. Rico Hines runs really helped with the squads we were putting out there last night because they weren't squads that were together a whole lot. Other than Wancho, all those guys played at Rico, and you saw synergy that kind of was built from the summertime at Rico Hines. That Jeff Doughton and Malachi and Koloko and Gary, they all worked a lot together at that time. And that time accrued together actually helped us have some sort of cohesion with a very different team with guys missing. That Rico Hines really helped us in some ways last night, the runs. Let's see. Kareem Thomas is saying, is it just me or does KD and Nurse have established some type of player-coach relationship? I don't want Crab Dinner on our team, but won't be surprised if the Raps were to make a move. It would be him. Yeah, I'm serious. Listen, I know Kevin wants to come play for us. I know he does. If he's not going to play for us, he wants to kill us. But he would love to play for Nick Nurse. You're right. And you have observed something that is very real, that there is a mutual respect and there is some sort of kind of like, okay, I like him and he likes me. And if this could work out and we could get there somehow, some way, in this way, that'd be fantastic. So I think what you're sensing is true. And you know what? It's not that Nick Nurse covets having him, but it's like the idea of having him on the team. I don't think anybody would be upset to have Kevin Durant on their team as a coach. That makes their life so much easier. So, but yeah, it really, I know what you're talking about, Kareem. You're talking about at the beginning of the game when they put that trap on them. And when Kevin came over to talk to the Raptors coaches at the beginning of the game, they were laughing and smiling together. And that they had a familiarity. So I know that's what you're talking about. Monique saying, was everyone in the chat for Raptors tonight? How was Randy? I popped in there for just a second. I only saw Savage in there and then just a lot of other people. Nobody from our chat normally in there. But I didn't watch it. I just kind of popped in and saw who was in there. And I just saw like Savage making that one Noah comment and then I left. Mason saying, and Mac, you're not a true fan if you think this is the worst season you've seen the Raptors. Bye, Karen. Bye. Okay, you're talking to Vinnie Mac. Yeah, I don't know. Vinnie Mac is his fact check. We need to fact check Vinnie Mac, being a 40-year Raptor fan. Bishop saying, that's a joke I wrote last night for the stream. It's about people that complain. I'm 100% Freaks fan and Lex fan. Awesome. Bishop, we know you are, Andrew. Don't worry. That's not in question. That's not in question at all. Whatever you wrote, I don't even remember if it was like a bad or anything. I think it was fine. Nameless saying, I think we played less that 3 games with a complete roster. There's some perspective. Yeah, we haven't had very many games where we've had everybody healthy. Even at the beginning of the year, we were like, everybody's healthy coming in the season. When we come in the first game, we actually had some people miss the first game of the season for different weird reasons. This is the NBA. There's always going to be guys coming and going. And that's why you have to have a really good, deep, talented team. And we're weathering it partly because of that. Cool Cat saying that Kareem, KD has always been a fan of the Raptors since Vince Carter. He wanted to be drafted here. Great friends with Drake. He respects Raptors organization and how hard Nick Nurse gets the team to play. Yes. Yes, and that's part of what he was saying recently about his criticism about the Nets and why he was disappointed and unhappy this summer is that he doesn't feel like they work on team stuff. And well, the Raptors really have their shit together and they're organized. And he probably lusts for that kind of team to play on. That he really wants to play for a coach, once again, like Steve Kerr when he played in Golden State, that he wants that kind of structure. He wants a coach that's going to give him good opportunities to succeed and that they're really organized and well put together and stuff. Now, maybe Jacques Vaughn's getting the Nets more together at this point, but he hasn't been playing in that kind of team with Brooklyn for the last few years. It's not really Steve Nash's fault. Is really kind of that those guys are superstars and they don't listen to coaches, especially Kyrie. It's really hard to coach a team as a team and have them play like a team when you have Kyrie Irving on your team. That in some ways he's a detriment to team concept and he doesn't help in some ways. So I think that it's true that Kevin does secretly covet to be a Toronto Raptor. But, the success of the Brooklyn Nets may determine whether he's actually going to be available in January or not. It could very well be that Kevin said all this stuff in the summer, but the Nets are like, no, we're just trying to win this with you here, and we're not interested in moving you. And he may be like, well, things are going kind of well already, and that all that talk just goes away. But if in some ways, the way things are going with us, I may not be against the Kevin Durant trade for him to be on the Raptors, as long as the right things are going the opposite direction and we're not giving up too much. That it is going to be very interesting to see how the next 4 months develop in the NBA season with different things and how teams are doing. Savage is saying, let's be honest, we lost to Brooklyn fully healthy already. Nets flew in at 3 a.m. off a back-to-back and lost the Sixers team -3 stars and got it done. We're just mid with or without Spicy. Yeah, that's all bullshit right there. First of all, I'll break it down. We did not lose to Brooklyn fully healthy the first time we played them. We had some guys missing then too. And you know what? Listen, we played them very well. It really was, once again, Kyrie just stepped up. They were playing in Brooklyn and that game also. And that, in some ways, the NBA set us up to lose that game right off the beginning of the season. They gave us a very tough schedule right away. They wanted us to lose to Cleveland on our home opener, but we didn't. We won that game. And they wanted us to lose when we went to Brooklyn, but we did lose that game. And then they had a game right after it in Miami that's very distracting the next day. So, yeah, I won't give you that about your first part because we did already have injuries right at the beginning of the season. And then and they were fine themselves other than Ben Simmons hadn't showed up yet. Let's see. In the 3 a.m., sure, we could say that about them, but they're a professional team. The Sixers team last night, there was a couple of reasons. The team before that night, there were a couple of reasons why they did really well. There's the Ben Simmons energy around that team. There's a lot of get up and go from the Sixers team to get some revenge on him. The fans were really, really amped up and like up for that game. So that building was rocking. So there's a lot of different factors as far as like the comparison between the Sixers and us. Our building was not rocking last night. They tried to do defense chants. They tried to get the loudness, and there were times where we could hear y'all. But for the most part, we had a very apathetic, non-committed crowd at the Scotty Bank Arena last night. And, listen, you can say what you want to say about us and what they are. It's all perception. And your perception can be tainted in a pessimistic way. That's fine. You're allowed that. But we're optimists, and I don't think that these are the things that we should look at. And I don't think that they're actually totally fair. So there we go. Jimmy Pope saying you're a weirdo. I'm with Jimmy Pope. All right, Cowboys here. One step back, 2 steps forward. We're all good. Let's go, Raptor freaks. Keep it positive. Yes, you go, Bradley. That's exactly right. You got to have success mixed with failure. I'm a fun guy. Wow, Lex, Jesus, that Drake story is crazy. It just goes to show how these guys actually had a journey to get to where they are. Ed Sheeran used to play on the streets back then too, before fame. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I vaguely remember him. I just remember this light-skinned dude being out there, and he wasn't like anybody. Like he's just handing out CDs and like trying to sell them. And I just remember him. And then I remember him talking about him doing that when he was younger. And I was like, man, I'll bet you that was him out at Ontario Place that I saw selling those CDs all the time. I didn't put one and one together until I heard an interview about him talking about doing that. I was like, wait, that kid way back then that had the CDs in the summer of '99, that was Drake. And that makes sense now. It totally makes sense because he was right around 16 around then. He was very young at that point. So yeah, Monique's saying, did anyone see the video interview with Jack on Much Music? Instagram's so funny. No, I didn't know Jack Armstrong's on Much Music's Instagram. All right, we'll have to go find out. Kenrick James is here. Hey, how can I send you a few pictures? Got some artwork she might like. Kenrick, that's awesome. You know what? Let me, Kenrick, if you're still here, hopefully, I'll write in my email into the chat. So you can just email them to me if you'd like. There you go. There's my email at the bottom there, Kenrick. If you guys want to get in touch with me, Bradley, same kind of thing. I know you wanted to get in touch with me, Cowboy. So there's my email, guys. You can email me directly if you have something you want to send me. Kareem Thomas is saying, laugh out loud at Vinnie Mac. You must have been a fan since the Huskies. Yeah. I mean, the Huskies, but they were the Huskies. They're not the Raptors. So he must have been at ROM. Mike's saying you solved the mystery there. Kareem, you solved the mystery. Bishop's saying two streams on Saturday. Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be double duty, but there's no stream on Sunday. That's why. Don Vito's here. Good to see you, Don Vito. I love you too, man. You're the best too, bro. I missed you. I know you still been around watching us and stuff like that. And I'm just glad you're checking in and saying, hey, Tom Duke's got a heart. He's got a salad bowl. It looks like he's got Bowlway. Bowlway, Scotty Barnes, Subway Bowlway. He's got a T. He's got a heart. He's saying hi in his chef. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what. I can't read your emoji language today. I think you got lunch, and maybe you're talking about the Jubstown Clink. I don't know, Tom. Mason's saying, Vinnie Mac. Hey, pal. Hey. Hey, Tom saying hi to everybody. All right, let's see. Cool Cat is saying, all right, I'm at almost 2 hours. That's pretty good. Saturday double streams, Canada football game versus Croatia on Sunday. Ooh, well, guys are gonna be really happy. The reason why I'm not gonna be on for Sunday, you guys are gonna be very happy, and I'll tell you guys tomorrow. That's the secret for tomorrow for the Friday freak out. We're gonna do a Friday freak out tomorrow, and I will tell you exactly why there's not gonna be a stream on Sunday, and you guys are gonna be very happy to know why. Mike's saying, I know Vinnie Mac from the NBA debate screen and Pirate FS1 YouTube streams, and he's a troll of another guy named Vince McMahon who's popular on the FS1 stream. So he's a troll version of someone else. That's cool. Like a troll of a troll. That's kind of very meta. You know, Vince, listen. Once again, I've accused you of being a mobster and murdering people on the down low. But, in some ways you did really make wrestling really important when I was a kid. And I got to respect that, even if you're a degenerate, awful person in real life behind the scenes. Bishop saying, good work today, Gangster Lex. Cheers. Thank you, Andrew Bishop. You're awesome. I'll call you just Bishop if you want, if that's what you want. Monique saying at 2023 NBA champion Toronto Raptors. 2023 NBA champion Toronto Raptors. Thank you, Monique, for that. Listen, the adversity, the journey that we go on this season is going to be all the sweeter when we win the championship at the end of the year, y'all. When we find all this hardship, all these tough times with injury, we'll think about this time right now when we're holding that Larry O'Brien at the end of the year. And we'll be like, wow, who would have thought way back at the end of November when we were all sad because we lost the Nets because we didn't have any of our players available that we still won the championship at the end of the year. That's what I want to happen. That's what I want to will into existence. Don Vito saying Malachi needs a change of scenery, in my opinion. I can see him blowing up with another team, and I hope he does. Once a Raptor, always a Raptor. Yeah, I'm with you on this. In fact, I don't even think this is something that's a slight on Malachi. I think he's a great player and I love him and I want him to succeed. It's just that I think in some ways it's kind of the sad thing where you got to be like, this would be what's best for you. It's like the dude who leaves the dog somewhere because it's like, I can't feed you anymore. I ain't got no food. So I'm leaving you with these people. And it's sad because you're kind of walking away from them. But that dog will have a happier life with those other people because you just can't provide that to them. And that's kind of like that in some ways with Malachi. It's like, I think if he goes to another team, he is going to blow up. And then it'll be like dumb Raptor fans will be like, well, why didn't he do that with us? Why did you let him go? And now all of a sudden he's so good on the Orlando Magic. And I'm like, well, he couldn't do that here. We were holding him back in a way. And he actually it's really good for him because he'll make more money. He'll have more time. He may not win as much. He may not be on a winning team, but he'll get more time. He'll get more burn. He'll have more fun, and he'll probably get paid more. So that it could be very much in his advantage and work out for him, in some ways too. A lot of ways, actually. Mike's saying NBA debate scene, Don Vito, no doubt. I hope the best for good people, and Flynn is a good person. Yeah, we got all kinds of the regulars that go to Raptor Spaces and comment and stuff. I love that y'all come and check on me every once in a while, and we get to catch up every once in a while. I appreciate all y'all fighting the good fight in a Raptor free kind of way, keeping the slander against our guys like Fred VanVleet, Pascal, Scotty, and fighting the good fight against it. Fight that fight. Isaac Campbell saying, shout out to Doughton. The guy still needs better minutes. This is for sure the positive takeaway. Yet again, we get outplayed by a small, quick guard, be it Kyrie, Maxey, Trey, etc. Start Doughton. Yeah, I don't know. Doughton's good. Doughton's really good. Listen, Kyrie's a whole other kind of level of caliber of player. Now, Trey, sure. Maxey, sure. And this is true. This is an Achilles heel for us. In some ways, small guards are really our kryptonite. And I hate it. I hate it so much. Like Kevin, he didn't score anything last night. What did Kevin do last night? He was 5 of 10, only 12 points last night. They really didn't go to Kevin Durant that much last night. They really could have, though. Let's see. I already read that one. Kareem saying, okay, Tom and Sue are in love. Okay, Tom and Sue are in love. Where did that go? And meanwhile, my wife just told me to get a haircut. I look homeless. Oh, Kareem. Oh, my gosh, man. All right. Savage saying Flynn made back-to-back threes, and Nurse told him shut it down and let Gary get his bricks up. But, yeah, he stopped shooting threes to keep his percentage high, in my opinion, especially when he was bricking from 2. Yeah, he just need to make his shots, just in general. Don Vito saying, is that a Joey Graham jersey behind you? Awesome. No, this is that's Muggsy Bogues. That's the shortest player to ever play in the NBA. That's Muggsy. That's JYD, Jerome Williams, and then Alvin Williams behind me. So it's actually when we lose, these are my pillars of like Raptors identities that I want us to get back to. Muggsy represents the heart because as the smallest player to ever play in the NBA, he had to have the heart to excel at that. And then we got hustle. JYD was the ultimate hustler. He was a guy who was crashing out of bounds to get loose balls. He was hitting the boards. He was energy personified, much like Chris Boucher these days. So we got heart, hustle, and then dedication. Alvin Williams was a real one. He stuck with our team through thick and thin. He's still with it at this day. So that's what it is. Heart, hustle, dedication. 3 pillars of important things that the Raptors have to get back to get back on a winning way. Because this is my loser wall. When you see the purple behind me, that means we lost. If you see the We the North behind me, the flag, that means we won. So it's like the scene that I put behind me really does correspond to how what things are going on with the team. Like I have a visitor. When we're the visiting team, I sit a certain way, and when we're the home team, I sit a certain way for the previews. Also, if you notice, you'll see the pattern. But yeah, no Joey Graham jersey, but Muggsy, JYD, and Alvin. That's who that is up there, and they're all 3 signed. I've got them all; their signatures are on all 3 of those jerseys. All right, let's keep going. Cool Cat saying, I think if not for Raptors, Malachi Flynn would not be in the NBA. We're the only team that gave him a shot. Look around the league. Name me one team that will be asking for Malachi. You might be actually shocked to see how many teams he would be able to play on right now. I think there's a disconnect between the reality of who Malachi Flynn is and what he's shown on courts. So I don't know. It's interesting. Now, Sue, you're modding. I'm wondering what's going on with that. Did Patrick say something, or did you hit a button by accident? Patrick Douglas, I hope that, whatever happened there. Sometimes something gets hit by accident. Sue, you're not, I don't know. Either way. Let's see. Nameless saying, Don Vito, shit. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. Here's my Italian lesson for today from Nameless. Che caso fa oggi? Shekazo Faoji. Pretty sure that's what that is. Okay, Kenrick's got my email. All right, send me whatever you want to send me, Kenrick. I appreciate that. Mason saying, "Thanks, Lex. Keep our hopes alive. We are better healthy. Let's hope our boys can all be healthy once again. One thing Raptors don't do is quit. We are here, and we are a strong nation behind us. Go Raptors, go!" Exactly. If our team's going to give the effort that they do in every situation, no matter what, all out, Mister 94 feet, court pressing, full court pressing, doing everything going all out. We should do the same as fans and our own equivalency as being fans and stuff. So yeah, I agree with that. Click's here. Good to see Click. The Nets were desperate to win, and we just didn't have the talent to keep up. But yo, Saturday, it's a must win. I don't care about the circumstances. Can't afford to play catch up. Yeah, this is true. Click's right. Like they were humiliated in Philadelphia the night before, and they really did have some gumption to not lose again. And that is a factor in what happened last night. That forget about us not being talented enough to match up with them. They really were motivated to not lose again. And in fact, in some ways, that makes it kind of sad because they didn't play that well. In a lot of ways, the Nets did not play well last night. And that they really don't have legs to go far this season and be a real championship contender. They have huge flaws with their team. And that may be one thing that I learned from last night is that listen, they really had to try and win. They're not having an easy time winning games recently, and it really is not. They shoot really well and they do a lot of things right, but they have no defense. They have no rebounding, and that is important to win championships. So that's why I have no faith in the Brooklyn Nets in making any kind of postseason noise. In fact, I could see them getting swept out right at the beginning of the playoffs once again, just like they did to Boston last year. That they don't have the kind of team that is going to have any legs in the playoffs, that they're just going to get beat because they really lack a defense and a rebounding edge. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And I like what you're saying, Click. I would like Saturday to be a must win. Once again, we're playing against Luka, and we've got to see who comes back. We got to see who's available if we really do have a good chance to even try and win this game. Because in some ways we might not. I don't know what's going to happen. We need health. Logical Raptors fanatic saying Kyrie is an IQ guard artist. That should have been Flynn's better matchup defensively in a sense of what Flynn is. I know. I think he should be able to like this is something you need to be able to do. Is like I know Kyrie's a very hard assignment, but this is a really good way to get good grace and like look good to us. Is wow, Malachi's kind of containing Kyrie, but he wasn't able to do that. Now, if he could kind of contain Kyrie and score a bunch of points on top of that, or do one or the other, then I could really give him some defense right now. But I can't because he could not guard Kyrie and he could not make his own shot either. So there's like, I can't give him kudos on either side of the ball right now. Hugh is here. Good to see Hugh. One of the joke names. The Jeff Doughton campaign continues. Give him more minutes over Malachi. Gary looked good in terms of getting a shot, but his three-point shot was hitting front rim for most part. Yeah. He's not well. You can tell he's not well, but hopefully he'll get his legs under him and it'll all look much, much better in the next couple of days. Maybe by Saturday, he'll look way better. And Monique's saying, what did you do with the 2019 banner from Isaac? Let us know. Go Raptors. W's only stream. Flex. Keep at it, though. Yeah. And thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Y'all make it great. I haven't put it up yet. I will soon. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it. I don't have a lot of wall real estate right now, and that flag is very big. It's bigger than the We the North flag. I was thinking about shifting the We the North flag over, but it's kind of a good centerpiece. So I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but I will be putting it up somewhere here. And thank you once again, Isaac Campbell, for the very nice championship flag that you sent the other day. All right, guys, let me just wrap things up for the game just with a general look over the box score. Kevin Durant didn't really have a big game. He was a plus 30, though, and that was huge. Royce O'Neal annoying with threes. I wish we had got him to turn the ball over more, and just we can't have this secondary guys on their team play well. And when Royce O'Neal and Nicholas Claxton shoot 11 for 15 collectively from the field, that is never good. They need to shoot worse than that. Kyrie, 11 of 16. He is the story of the game. Absolutely electric with 29 points. Fantastic game by Irving. He single-handedly really won that game for them in the third quarter. Ben Simmons was solid. Not a super great game by him. 14 points, 7 of 9 shooting, 6 assists. Then off the bench, they had a couple guys that were kind of annoying, but not really too bad. Morris was annoying with his threes. But otherwise, their bench wasn't that impressive. Patty Mills is something wrong with him. He's not the same player he was last year. And we didn't let Joe Harris go off. He only got one of his threes out of the 6 he shot. So I was very happy with that. And that Sumner guy, he was all about fouling our dudes every which way. He was fouling every which way, and they didn't call half of them. He should have fouled out last night. He only had 5 fouls. He should have fouled out. Now, our MVP recently is really Thad Young, 6 of 10. He's my number one star for the game last night. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. Koloko, mixed bag. I mean, didn't really have a lot of bright spots in the game last night and didn't really contribute too much, but I will say he got 4 offensive rebounds that helped keep things alive. And that was good. OG, you could have stepped up and done more. 15 points isn't going to cut it when you have to be our guy that carries water. And 5 turnovers, I don't like those. And I know some of them were stupid, like ref calls. Malachi, we just talked ad nauseum about him. 3 for 12 from the field is not going to cut it. 8 points when you're a starter. You need double digits at least. If not, get to 20 points and really impress Nick and make it hard for him to keep you on the bench. Gary Trent, a solid effort. Not the best effort. 6 of 19. Could have shot better. 1 of 8 from threes. Not happening yet there. 19 points. But it's a good step in the right direction. And hopefully as he gets feels less sick and feels better, he's going to come back stronger. Chris, a poor shooting night, but otherwise a very strong, energetic effort. 2 of 15 from the field, 0 of 3 from three-point range, but 8 of 8 at the free throw line, which was awesome. 16 rebounds, 12 points, a double-double. But really, 8 rebounds off the offensive end. That was impressive. He was really crashing the boards last night. In the 8 offensive rebounds by him and the 6 offensive rebounds by Juancho, fantastic off the bench. 10 points for Juancho, 4 of 9. He hit 1 3. He had a couple of really nice tip-ins and 3 steals. Just a solid game by Juancho, my second star of the game. Ken Birch came in for 11 minutes, got a basket and 3 rebounds. Solid, normal Ken Birch stuff. Jeff Doughton, fantastic. 3rd star, 4 of 9. Steady, capable, dependable, 10 points, 2 rebounds and assists. Could get more stats, I guess. Would maybe be the knock on Jeffrey. But I really love seeing him. And then Ron Harper coming out and get his first couple of baskets in his NBA career, 2 of 2 from three-point range. You know what? It is what it is. You're playing against top 75 Kevin Durant, top 75 Kyrie Irving, and the matchup and talent is just not fair in some ways. So it is what it is. All right, Don Vito saying, always hanging around and checking your streams out when I can, even though I haven't been able to catch you live in a few months. You're awesome at what you do. Lots of love, Lex. Thank you, Don Vito. You go. Much respect. All right, guys, keep your heads up. And remember, we got to continue to realize all the things that are happening with the settings of what's happening with our team and keep that perspective in mind before making snap judgments and assessments about our team as a whole. Sure, we can look at the individual players that are getting more time to play right now and assess them and get more of a look and maybe be critical of them. But criticizing the whole entire team right now is pointless. This is not the real Raptors. And until some of our really important players come back, there's no reason to really jump off the ship and get too upset. We got to allow for our guys to get healthy and come back and return, and good things will happen. All right, Monique saying won't be at the next game, so messages are welcome. Dallas is not on my schedule this year. Okay, Monique. Yeah, I mean, geez, are we made of money that we can go to every single game all year? 5:00 game on Saturday. It's going to be a little weird because it's an earlier game, but it's not too much earlier. And we have time off, a couple of days off, so that's good too. Having Thursday and Friday off, and then we play again. That is good. So they'll be able to adjust to this. But earlier start is a little bit sometimes. Like these afternoon games worry me sometimes. Because the history with the Raptors on afternoon games isn't always that good. Cool Cat saying, look at other NBA teams, point guards, shooting guards, a lot of tall players now. Their short guards are fast and explosive. Flynn has not shown that ability. Trey's having problems in this league that is changing too. This is true. Like in some ways, it really is becoming a middle wing kind of league. Like the big centers are trouble and the littlest guys are trouble too. You got to be in that middle. Guys like what our team is built like. In fact, we are very much the future. And it's like players like Malachi, really short players will have a harder time making the NBA as it goes on and on. You see guys like Victor coming up next season and they have ball handling skills like guards, but they're like over 7 feet tall. Well, you can't beat that. If you're going to have to choose between a 6 foot guy and a 7 foot guy and they have the same skill set, what do you think you're going to choose? So the writing is on the wall for an extent that if you're under 6'5", you want to try and make the NBA, good luck. It's not going to get any easier. It's going to get harder and harder as time goes on. And people like Fred and Malachi will be the exception. Very much, very, very like not very common. And I think it's true at the other end too with big guys that in some ways they're going to be phased out more and more because of some of the things. Like Joel Embiid is good in some ways, but he's not the future of the NBA. The NBA is not going to be looking for more Joel Embiids because in some ways he's going to be proven that he doesn't win championships, that he hinders them from winning championships. All right, let's keep going. Mason saying great stream today. Lex, all love over here. Let's get the win. Yeah. All right, y'all. W streams, WWW. Let's get more W's. And thank you for joining me today on this Thursday, this American Thanksgiving Thursday. I hope all of you guys find the time to just think about something that you feel thankful for today, even though it's not our day up here. We had it already. But it's always good to practice gratitude in your everyday life. In fact, I want to just take a basic gratitude check right now that I'm just grateful that the NBA and the Raptors exist. That forget about wins and losses, forget about all this stuff. I'm just grateful that I can share the experience of watching this team and enjoying what they do on the court with you guys. That we sometimes just need to get back to the very basics of the very simple pleasures in life to get more anchored towards happiness and goodness in our lives. If you find that you're way too depressed or cynical or pessimistic or just down, start looking at the things that you can build off of to make you feel more positive and happy. It may be as simple as someone who's in your life that's a loved one that actually really has your back and you care about you. You start by saying, I really appreciate that this person is in my life and that I have so much gratitude for them. You may be shocked at how much happiness that can be generated out of just practicing that little bit of gratitude in that moment. It could really change your whole entire day. When you're feeling down or sad or sorry for yourself, start thinking about what you feel good about and what makes you, carries you, and helps you feel better. And boom, that'll be where you go in that direction. You'll feel happier and happier. So practice gratitude today, Raptors Freak Crew, and have the gratitude of the good things. All right, there you go, Don Vito. Wonderful words. You are welcome, Don Vito, and thank you for being here with me. All right, guys, all the best. Have a great Thursday. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a Friday freak out, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let's go, Raptors!